The following is a presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Welcome to college football, presented by Walmart. And welcome to the American Conference on ABC. From the American Conference, a team on the rise, the Bulls of South Florida, as they are in their home stadium here in Tampa at Raymond James to take on number 13 Florida State. Hi again, everyone. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. 1 week ago today, the Seminoles were number 2 in America, and they went out and suffered arguably the worst loss in the history of their program. Who are they, and how much will we learn about them today?
We're going to learn everything, and they're going to face an opponent in South Florida that runs pretty much what Louisville did all over the field, 530 yards in the variety a week ago. And, Bob, it's got to start right from the beginning. That was the chaos last week, and Willie Taggart knows it. He wants his guys to fire off and play hard because Florida State was on their heels. Lamar Jackson was a difference maker, but they were breaking down in every phase of it. Marcus Lewis, nickelback. A.J. Westbrook, safety. They're unblocked. You have your chance right from the time. That's the first play of the game at Louisville. That's 2 unblocked defenders that can't make a tackle. And watch Matthew Thomas, linebacker, totally loses his eyes. You're going to hear eyes and discipline throughout this game. And if it looks in any way like this, it may not be 63 points. But Florida State doesn't have a chance to win unless they fix those fundamentals.
The Seminoles just about to take the field against USF. We'll hear from Willie Taggart with Allison when we return, and we'll kick it off next.
Welcome back. We are moments away from kickoff, and I'm joined by USF head coach Willie Taggart. Coach Taggart, a sellout crowd is expected. A national TV audience is watching. What have you told your players about the opportunity they have today?
Well, I told them to go out and seize the moment. You don't get an opportunity like this often. You know, this is why they all came here. I look at a lot of our guys. They came here when we didn't have anything. They wanted to build our program to get noticed, to be nationally noticed, and they got an opportunity today to go out there and earn some respect.
What did you tell them about managing the emotion of a game like this?
Well, I told them to go have fun. That's why you play, you know. We always talk about having juice. I don't want to keep that away from us, so I wanted to turn up today.
Willie, thank you. Bob, up to you.
Allison, there's Quentin Flowers set to take the field first as USF lost the toss, but Florida State deferred their option to the second half. You want to know why this is a group with confidence building under Willie Taggart? Well, from 2013 to 2016, that is the definition of offensive improvement.
This program's played good defense through the years. This environment, you can remember it back in the mid-2000s. They were number 2 in the country at one point. They were averaging 57,000 fans a game. They had an electric defense, but now it's their offense that makes it go, makes the 10,000 students that are packed in here today really hopeful and believing they can get this done.
Rodney Adams is not only a lethal wide receiver, but he can be a lethal return man as well. Back to receive Logan Tyler's kick. Returnable. Adams bobbles it at the 1. And he is waffled at about the 16-yard line. Well, the reason that this offense plays with confidence, that man right there, Quentin Flowers, he inspires that confidence in his teammates.
He asked his coach a season ago, you got to let me go. To turn it up, to play to my strengths, which is an up-tempo system. He's a point guard. You will see heavy quarterback run today. I would expect at least 10 to 15 times where his number is called as a running back, and that's a deadly combination, 9 and 5. Marlon Mack, the second best player on that offense as well, right alongside his quarterback. Those two are going to look to do with Florida State what Louisville did 1 week ago.
And a lot of unusual offensive formations as well. Double stack wide receivers on first down. And a shot right off the bat to start the game. In stride, Rodney Adams. One play, touchdown. Florida State fans, it's like the Louisville game never ended.
And for a South Florida team that wanted to turn up, no better way to turn it up to call a shot from play number 1. Willie Taggart told us yesterday, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to go right after Jimbo Fisher. My guys are not intimidated. We watched the tape a week ago. And what Quentin Flowers does best is throw the deep ball. And for the first time in 4 years in this program, he's got receivers that can run right by 5-star Florida State corners. That's a stacked alignment. Tavares McFadden is in position number 4. He just doesn't think that 87 Rodney Adams is going to run by him. And I played South Florida in the past. I played American Conference schools. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm faster. That's a wake-up call to Mr. McFadden that 87's as fast as anybody in college football.
In that huddle is Derwin James, the sophomore free safety, and he had something to say to the defense. Of course, he, with a torn meniscus, is out the better part of 2 months. Missed last week against Louisville, obviously out today against USF. And Rodney Adams, with his 7th total touchdown this season, just keeps the offense rolling for USF and keeps the defense for Florida State on their heels. The way they played almost the entirety of the tape we watched from last week's game.
Exactly right. The ultimate team game still comes down to one-on-one matchups. Credit Willie Taggart, scripting for success and taking advantage of his most dynamic player, further electrifying the student body and the fan base here that didn't necessarily need the electricity.
Florida State has a difference maker of their own, though. Dalvin Cook last year, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns, both career highs in this matchup in Tallahassee.
Defensively for Florida State is about their discipline. Offensively, this is about your manhood. Louisville just hit you and hammered you, and Dalvin could not get started. I expect a hat on a hat and number 4 to have 20 to 25 carries today. Just put a hat on a hat and block an undersized, especially secondary, in a nickel defense that South Florida plays throughout, and give your best player a chance to get it started as he did a year ago against these Bulls.
Dalvin Cook on first down has a lane. Breaks a tackle. 1 snap for South Florida. 1 snap for Florida State. Touchdown. How about that? 2 plays, 2 scores.
And Willie says, you call plays pretty good on the other side, Jimbo. I know what I'm in store for today.
Flag down in the end zone. It looked like after the touchdown, probably a celebration penalty on Florida State.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 4 of the scoring team. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. That is number 4's first unsportsmanlike conduct.
I said to you before kickoff, and Jimbo yelling at his defense, is he going to remind Dalvin, you do that again, you're out of this game. I said to you before kick, Bob, you got to run right at the nickel corner, Nate Godwin. You have to do that if you're Florida State. Kareem R., Roderick Johnson, they were tested. Maven Saunders, those 3 got a hat on a hat. You finally gave Dalvin a lane, and the thoroughbred shows you what he can do best.
159 yards of total offense in the first 29 seconds of the game. Dalvin Cook picking up right where he left off last year against USF. The equalizer. Tied at 7. We all need a break. Welcome back to Tampa. 29 seconds and 2 touchdowns. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams. Tied at 7 between Florida State and USF. Both teams running 1 offensive play and both scoring. And now it will go back to the Bulls. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Dalvin Cook sets up the short kickoff. And slipping and falling at the 28-yard line is Rodney Adams. Well, Jimbo Fisher told us, Brock, it had to be a hat on a hat.
And he tightened the formation down, and he wanted to get his big bodies on an undersized South Florida team. And look at it. You got man on man and everybody winning their block, and even Bobo Wilson getting out there and cutting down the corner, and that provides the vision. You give Dalvin Cook an opportunity to see all of this field and take on that safety. That's Devin Abraham in a one-on-one. He's going to win. 1,600 yards a year ago. The country's best at over 7 yards a carry. He gets one-on-ones. He wins today.
Toss out to the edge to Marlon Mack. His first carry. And the first tackle made by a defense. Gain of 3 on first down. Trey Marshall came up to make the stop for FSU. And USF will go fast. They are an up-tempo offense.
And yet they mix formations. And that's the unique variety. Willie Taggart said, I'm not a spread guy. I'm a Gulf Coast guy. Gulf Coast guys run power football. His background with Harbaugh, do it out of multiple formations. They just do it awfully fast.
Hand off, and it's Mack. First down.
And that's too much. In this matchup a year ago, you didn't have that. Those lanes were tight. Marlon Mack had very little room to run. That's an incredibly positive sign for South Florida to move the pile.
Keeper for Quentin Flowers. He's down the sideline. Another big play for the Bulls to the Noles 32-yard line. That's a gain of 28. Same play. Similar result. Another first down. Trey Marshall went for the piggyback ride on Quentin Flowers.
Do this for me. That's Charles Kelly, defensive coordinator. Watch the defensive line. He has commanded his guys to get off blocks, to win at the point of attack, to engage those linemen, and that's 2 snaps where those D linemen are getting eaten up the same way they did a week ago.
Pump fake, end zone. Out of the back of the end zone, intended for Rasheem Bronson. It was there, and Flowers with just a little too much air under the football.
When the field condenses under the 20-yard line and you're going to run a pump screen, which is what they get right there in the perfect look with a blitz, you've got to get rid of it immediately. That's all about timing. That's not necessarily accuracy. This is running out of room, and you've got to play when you get in the red zone. You've got to play even a step faster.
Play clock down to 8. Still looking over to the sideline is Flowers. Now trying to get his team set. Wants the ball. Play clock at 3. They get the snap off, and it's a jet sweep. Rodney Adams inside the 15-yard line. That's a gain of 3 and brings up a third down now where Florida State, after the stop by Roderick Hoskins, this is a big play for this defense early in this game.
And they were abysmal a season ago on this down. They were abysmal in many areas for 3 years for Willie Taggart until they switched about mid-season last year, the Syracuse game, and Quentin Flowers got to play the game the way that he wants to. Fast, up-tempo, distributing, facilitating like a point guard. This is all about making sure you get into the right call at the right moment. And scoring 7s today against your opponent, critical.
They'll run it with Marlon Mack. Makes a cut. First down. On third down and a long 7, close to 8. USF keeps it on the ground, and they pick up a first down.
And Matthew Thomas keeps watching at linebacker. Defensive end crashes. That's Walker. He has got to go fill. You hesitate, and we're seeing hesitation once again. You lose.
No hesitation here. Marlon Mack reaches the ball out. Down at the 1-yard line. It's loose, recovered in the end zone, but the official right along the goal line says that Marlon Mack was down before the ball came free. They run it quickly. Walking into the end zone with a USF touchdown is Marlon Mack. Florida State was not set defensively. And the pace of USF made them look silly.
Not even close. Running into each other defensively. Willie Taggart saw it. And I really like his mix of tempo there, Bob. There were times on third down I want to get to the right play. I want my guys to take a breath and make sure we get to everything we need to get to execute the way we want to. And then there's going to be other times that we step on the accelerator, because Florida State was prone to this week 1 against Ole Miss. That time, as you said, not even lined up at the snap as South Florida takes advantage.
Went to USF's, I would say, a walkthrough yesterday morning. It was more like a speed through. They go right down the field against air, and all they're trying to do is get their offense set, run up to the ball, snap it. Well, they run up to the ball here and snap it. It's almost like half the Florida State defense didn't even know that the play had begun.
Football presented by Walmart. This season, celebrate game time with savings from Walmart. And in part by the 2017 Ford Fusion, the beauty of a well-made choice. And Dr. Pepper, it's a college football tradition.
These USF Bulls fans were ready for this kickoff, and their offense certainly was ready as well. They barely got done painting out the parking lot, came in, sat down, and in the first 201 seconds of this game, we've seen 231 yards of total offense and a 9-play, 72-yard scoring drive where multiple times Florida State's defense looked totally unprepared at the snap for the pace of the Bulls offense.
And beyond that, I'm seeing exactly what I saw on tape a week ago against Louisville. A front four that can't engage, strike, and get off blocks, and linebackers that aren't Florida State linebackers, that are step slow, that are watching, that are playing in doubt, and you're getting gashed.
Here's Kermit Whitfield. Now close to the 25-yard line.
This is hard to fathom. How you could possibly not get lined up in this situation, in this environment. Look at Florida State. They're milling around. The formation's funky. It's into the tight part of the field, into the boundary. You've got 4 guys, not even looking at the ball being snapped, running into one another. When you say you hand a touchdown to an opponent, you just did.
Can only imagine the conversations going on in the defensive huddle on the Florida State sideline. Instead, it's a Bobo Wilson reverse. Brought down with a horse collar. Devin Abraham got the tackle, but that should be a personal foul.
Personal foul. Horse collar tackle. 20. Defense. 15 yards. First down.
That's textbook. That's a no-brainer right there. And Abraham gave up the touchdown earlier. And these safeties are going to have to tackle. Florida State in their front, they were embarrassed by lots of blitz a week ago from Louisville, from everywhere. We watched the tape together. Safeties, linebackers. It's going to be different today. They're going to know where their targets are, and they're going to target much better. These safeties are going to have to tackle for South Florida.
DeAndre Francois to throw for the first time. He wants a bomb. He's got Auden Tate. Caught. Underthrown, or it would have been another touchdown for Auden Tate as Dietrich Nichols was beat. A gain of 39.
That's a double move. That's a little out and up. And Auden Tate's growing. That's his 5th catch. Already 3 touchdowns on the year. And if DeAndre gets that out earlier, once again on a double move. But what I like is it's not overthrown. The worst thing that you could do when you've got somebody beat is to throw it out of bounds. It gives Auden that big body to make yet again another play.
Dalvin Cook inside the 15. Down to the 12-yard line, close to a first down. Tripped up by Bruce Hector, but picked up 9.
And Dalvin and DeAndre are saying, well, this is what football feels like again. Last week in that chaos up in Louisville, that phone booth, where I'm getting hit behind the line, I'm shedding 4 or 5 tacklers to even get beyond the line of scrimmage. Very different picture today.
Dalvin Cook again. Another touchdown.
Coach Trickett, offensive line coach, one of the better coaches at that position in college football. Jameis Winston told you 2 weeks ago at Ole Miss, just that. And he's got his guys up front angry. Defensively, they may be a mess, but offensively, they're getting back to the very basics of what makes their entire system go. That's a run game. That was Landon Dickerson, the freshman right guard, setting the table with Eberle. And I'll say it again, you allow Dalvin Cook 1,600 yards, 7.5 yards a carry a season ago to get that forward lean, to get that forward momentum and put them in one-on-one situations or breaking arm tackles or D-tackles. Game over.
Well, you wanted a response from the entire front group offensively for Florida State from Louisville last week. It's already represented by what Dalvin Cook has done today. 62 yards from scrimmage last week, nearly 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And we haven't even played 5 minutes here in Tampa. What a start. Tied at 14 and today on ABC, the Big Ten opener between Penn State and Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines. Number 4 Michigan against Penn State at 3:30. And then at 8, Pac-12 showdown, Christian McCaffrey and number 7 Stanford take on UCLA. Both games are streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. So a triple header of football right here on ABC today.
Is it just me, Bob, or does college football feel like the year of the running back? Every week for you and I this season, we have seen a dynamic player at that position. And we're going to look at another one. Dalvin Cook has been sleepy. Had a 100-yard receiving day against Ole Miss, but everybody around the country is wondering where that guy was. Where's that projected first-round pick? You're getting an indicator today when he gets just enough help. He'll shed arm tackles and he'll beat one-on-one safeties.
A yard deep for Dearness Johnson on the return. Field position on Florida State's side, but how does their defense respond from an embarrassing start? Allison Williams over on that FSU sideline.
Yeah, before they took the field, coaches working frantically to clean up some assignment mistakes, and injured defensive back Derwin James really getting after his guys, telling them they need to pick it up. He said they're running on us like they did last week, and he said the offense is doing their job. We need to do our job and go out there and get a stop. And this is a defense that's already been challenged by defensive end DeMarcus Walker. He said last week some guys shut it off, so he held a players-only meeting, and he told his guys that loss to Louisville will not define us, but how we play against South Florida will.
Well, it's a bad start. As Quentin Flowers drops to throw, he's looking for another bomb. Rodney Adams through his hands. Marcus Lewis celebrating. Well, that looked to be a catchable ball for Rodney Adams.
Yeah,
that was about as good a throw as Flowers can make.
That's exactly right. And these are the shots. Going to be at least 2 a quarter, if not more. And Marcus does make a good play. You can't play it better than that. So often those DBs will panic. They will make contact, try to go over the top. He trusted his speed in that moment against the fastest South Florida Bull. He does it exactly right.
Darius Tice stood up after a gain of 2. So here is a 3rd down. And the first time that either defense has forced a big 3rd down where they can get field position back on their side and actually get a stop.
And here comes some pass rush for Florida State. This is their dime package. They couldn't get on the field against Ole Miss in the first half. South Florida trying to get to the right play on 3rd down, allows the substitution. You see 99, Brian Burns, the pass rusher. The front 4's got to get busy.
Flowers avoids a sack and now goes down. The pass rush does get busy for the Noles. And the first time a defense has stood up and gotten a stop is Frederick Jones and a true freshman, Brian Burns, combined to get in the backfield.
You just missed that first down shot. And Willie said we're going to be in 2nd and 10s today because he is going to take his shot on early downs. But you get in 2nd and 10, then you get in danger zone if you don't find execution on that play. Because 3rd and long, Florida State still has elite pass rushers. They may be of the freshman variety and incredibly young, but they're gifted in that area. They just have to grow up.
Jonathan Hernandez kicking it to Bobo Wilson. Returnable from the 37. Almost slipped free, but sets the Noles up at midfield after a 13-yard return. Florida State looking to take the lead when we return. Tied at 14. Now it's a chance for our AT&T Inside Access. USF running back Darius Tice introduces us to some of his teammates.
Seniors normally eat first. Seniors at Unity Council, so we're about to go and get some food right now. So you guys follow us. Say something to argue.
You guys are with the guy.
He's the man, trust me. When he get older, I know he gonna own his own barbershop. He get a haircut every 2 days.
Yeah, dude.
But he don't know how to cut hair, but he get a haircut every 2 days. Y'all already know 5, Marlon Mack. Y'all already, I don't even gotta say nothing about him. As soon as you say him, flashbacks come.
He put on a show at the team meal by himself. He was the perfect guy to send the camera around with, as he is Marlon Mack's backup, and a good one at that. Speaking of a good one, it's Dalvin Cook to the left of DeAndre Francois. Great field position for the Noles. Francois left alone in the flat as Dalvin Cook. Inside the 30 with a cutback. Still on his feet. And finally gang tackled at the 23-yard line after a gain of 27.
Alarm bells went off in my head yesterday when we sat down with defensive coordinator Raymond for South Florida. And he repeated himself 4 times. Keep everything in front. Keep everything in front. Keep everything in front. And what that tells me is he's got a defense that he doesn't necessarily trust against some of the explosiveness of Florida State. Not attack, not be aggressive like the offense, but this group is too good, and number 4 in particular, of giving this much space just to keep everything in front of you.
And now it's the 231-pound sophomore, and he is tough to bring down. Jaquez Patrick muscles his way into the red zone.
And this D-line is saying, man, this feels different than Syracuse, Towson, Northern Illinois. And this is not what I saw in film last week. This Florida State crew up front was unable to get a hat on a hat and block anybody. I mean, they were on their heels, and right now you can see they know exactly where South Florida is. They are targeting well, and they're giving, whether it's Cook or the big back Patrick, an opportunity to get started, and that's bad news.
Patrick again, showing some speed. Great feet inside the 10-yard line, 1st and goal for a Florida State team, Brock, that has not lost back-to-back games since 2011. And it seemed in talking to Jimbo Fisher as if he felt maybe a little bit of that complacency of a group that has won a lot, but not necessarily these players.
That's right.
Played against them last week in the game against Louisville.
You just take things for granted. You don't have the attention to detail. Ryan Izzo isn't getting to the outside thigh pad as he did there to cut down the linebacker Harris. Your offensive line takes every right step, has their eyes in the right spot, so you can let your talent flourish.
Francois runs it himself to the 5, down to about the 2-yard line. Devin Abraham made the stop. 2nd down and goal from inside the 3. And Devin Abraham took the worst of that collision with DeAndre Francois, and he is shaken up.
We've seen Devin get involved early. Missed the tackle on Dalvin Cook, and that's DeAndre, 6'2", 205 pounds, on a designed quarterback call there, quarterback counter. And Devin, the son of Donnie, longtime Tampa Bay Buccaneer, 38 career interceptions, 9-year NFL vet, tremendous player.
He was a New York Jet for a while. I called the Jets on the radio, so I had a chance to be around Donnie Abraham a bit towards the end of his career. And you want to talk about a guy that was every team's locker room glue. I mean, he was a guy that every coach wanted to have around a defense.
Yep. Just understood ball, right? Made everybody around him better. And Devin, the juniors, played a lot of football here. But right now, being thrust into situations, these safeties and corners are in a spot they've not been in all year, because this front is getting blocked consistently by Florida State.
2nd down and goal from just outside the 1. And off to the fullback, submarining into the end zone is Freddie Stevenson, and Florida State's got the lead. Second rushing touchdown this year for Freddie Stevenson. And Florida State uses the short field to their advantage, and their offense hasn't been stopped yet.
And once again, give a real tip of the cap to Ryan Izzo, the tight end. He had a rough week. Everybody did in Tallahassee last week up there in Louisville. But the tight end Izzo doing his thing, setting the edge, and Florida State rolling.
And inside the upright is the 263rd consecutive point after made by Florida State kickers, most with the last name Aguayo. Ties an NCAA or sets an NCAA record. High-scoring start to our game here in Tampa between Florida State and USF. Still 6:11 to go in the first quarter, and we have seen 5 touchdowns scored, both offensive scoring on their first snap from scrimmage. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart and Allison Williams. We wanted to see what the response would be off the Louisville loss last week to Florida State, Brock. We have seen it from their offense. Now we'll see if the defense picks up the slack now that the Noles have the lead. This kick from Logan Tyler through the back of the end zone while celebrating its 12th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
And now this is where head coach, there's actually a benefit to being an offensive coordinator because he's feeling his defense getting gashed. They got physically no answers for Florida State. And I think as a head coach, you understand now as a play caller too, I may have to control things. And while I want to play as fast as possible and take as many shots, I may have to come off the throttle just a little bit offensively.
Short hop from Flowers to Rodney Adams, 2nd down and 10. Does this change the plays that you're actually calling?
No.
Or just the tempo at which you are calling?
No, and I think you got to be careful because you want that attack mindset. It's put 14 on the board and nearly 21 with a perfectly thrown seam route, and you don't want your guys thinking, you want them reacting, but you also can't have a game where you're giving Florida State 14, 15, 16 possessions and furthering terrorizing your defense.
Flowers reverses field. He goes south instead of north, and Tavares McFadden stayed home and dropped him for a loss back inside the 20. That looks like a loss of 8 yards. Sets up 3rd down and a mile.
Strike, disengage. It's the first time, and you didn't see this once last week. Right in the middle of your screen. 55, Frederick Jones, famous name here. Uncle Marvin, Dad Fred both played at Florida State. The first time I have seen an offensive guy on his backside, and that set everything up for the rest of that crew and their team speed to follow.
Marlon Mack. At least 3 yards shy of the first down, so it does buy some real estate for the punt group as he was tackled by Nate Andrews. But once again, it will be a kick for USF as Florida State's about to get the football back again.
And back-to-back 3 and outs, all based on that first down productivity or lack thereof. Previous possession, it was a deep shot down the field. That time, it was a one-hopper on a bubble screen that can't happen. And you get behind the chains in a tempo system where your opponent still has elite speed, you're going to see more of these punts this afternoon.
Flag down as Jonathan Hernandez gets away a good kick. Bobo Wilson all the way back to his 15-yard line. He's got speed across the 30. Lost a shoe out to the 31-yard line. We'll have to check the penalty marker, though, back at the line of scrimmage.
And if this is neutral zone on Florida State, and there's a helmet in that neutral zone.
Illegal formation, offense, 2 men in the backfield, 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down.
That's good field position again for FSU as they'll have it across their own 35-yard line after a 54-yard punt, but out-kicking the coverage somewhat was Jonathan Hernandez.
That hat's a little sideways, huh?
Well, so is his defense. And let's see if they respond now with 4.5 minutes to go before halftime, because you could sense the USF defense. It may not have been confidence from Raymond Woody, but some of their players, they felt like they would be able, after watching that tape of the Florida State offense against Louisville last week, to come in and be every bit as physical. But they have gotten run over here in the first quarter. Dalvin Cook again. That's a gain of 9 on first down.
And he's feeling it. He's feeling for the first time this season that he's getting some of those running lanes. You're right. This front four felt like they could match up, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing any blitz. I'm not seeing a mix of formations. Defensively, I'm seeing a four-man group that felt like they could handle the 5 of Florida State, and they're not. And credit the receivers, credit the edge blockers, Izzo. Everybody getting involved, because I think they all sense that this could be Dalvin's a big day like he had against this group a season ago.
The fullback, once again, Freddie Stevenson. Another Florida State first down.
And finally, a single safety here. If you want to take your shot, could be an ideal play action pass.
Instead, it's Dalvin Cook. And this time he's met behind the line. Augie Sanchez. He's the tone setter for that USF defense. Let's go down to Allison.
Well, the message for the USF defense from defensive line coach Eric Mathis was just to settle down. He said Florida State's getting some momentum right now on offense. You guys have to be better than that getting off the field, but you can't dwell on it. You have to flush it, go out there and play the next play.
That's their first negative play.
And it's the first time that they didn't have 2 safeties. They walked an extra person up into the box. I know you don't want to get plays up over the top, but you also can't be demoralized with a run game you can't stop when you don't have enough numbers.
Timeout calls from the sideline by Jimbo Fisher. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams here in Tampa. 21-14, Florida State has the lead. Jimbo Fisher calling a timeout. That's about the only thing so far that has stopped his offense. Dalvin Cook already over 100 yards in a quarter on the ground for the 3rd time in his career.
Jimbo's not going to lack for confidence. And when we sensed that yesterday, he knows what he's got. He's got the #1 recruiting class in America, nothing but top 5 classes year after year after year. He's just got to get a group believing. And last week they were demoralized in every single way, in every phase of the game. And sometimes, in my experience, those are easier to flush and come right back and get started. And they certainly have offensively.
Now, where do the answers come for USF on defense?
What we've seen on the last 2 snaps. You just can't line up and think that your numbers, your 4, are going to beat their 5. You at least have to mix. With a redshirt freshman quarterback, you've got to present some different pictures. I expect them to do that throughout the course of the game.
Four-man rush. Francois well protected and delivers a strike for a first down. Travis Rudolph picks up 14.
And that's bread and butter for Jimbo Fisher. Little underneath route to draw the attention of those linebackers. A clean pocket. Look at the space in the air for Francois. Perfectly drawn up play out of a timeout to distract the first-level linebackers and sink that little in route right behind his ear.
Francois on the flat once again. Dalvin Cook, a little stop, a little start. Runs a man over and picks up another first down. And DeAndre Francois is off to a 5-for-5 start. As Nigel Harris met Dalvin Cook.
Team effort. That's a little bubble screen just done to a running back, not outside and outflanking with receivers. Same concept. Travis Rudolph blocking Augie Sanchez and giving Cook that room.
Jaquez Patrick bounces it outside to the 15-yard line. Ronnie Huggins and Tajay Fullwood combine on the tackle.
I want to know one of the areas, if you want to judge the intensity of an offense, watch the receivers block. It's not just, say, running back and those big fellas up front. You really want to know how engaged your group is offensively. Watch the other players on the outside get after it, and these Seminoles have done so in the first 15 minutes.
Francois under pressure avoids a sack. And is inside the 15 down to about the 13-yard line. Deidrin Senat had a chance to bring him down for a loss, and instead it's a gain of 2.
That's a true freshman right guard. That's Landon Dickerson, true freshman. Getting his 3rd start. He's just beat in a one-on-one situation in South Florida. Their margin for error is much slimmer. You see that just physically here with what you've got defensively and what you're facing down in and down out. And when you've got an opportunity to beat Dickerson as you do there, you've got to find a way to finish.
The first 3rd down for this offense for Florida State. And the Bulls get a red zone stop. And it looks like a timeout was called by the USF defense before the snap. So while USF gets their defense regrouped with 32 seconds to go and what has been a somewhat eventful first quarter, tonight we'll have 2 big-time SEC games for you over on ESPN at 6 Eastern. Gus Malzahn and Auburn take on Leonard Fournette and number 18 LSU. Then in prime time, a couple of 3-0 SEC West teams squaring off. Jerry's World, number 17 Arkansas, number 10 Texas A&M. Both games will be streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN as always.
And Leonard Fournette, much like Dalvin Cook today, really trying to ignite his season and get it going. Was so productive a year ago, and I asked Jimbo straight up, and Leonard's in the same boat. It's been more public, maybe nationally. You letting off the gas a little bit? Is Leonard looking at the NFL, protecting himself? And Jimbo said, furthest thing from the truth. Getting after him, been honest. He wants to be coached like a freshman. You've seen that response today.
Francois on 3rd down. Has a first down, has the pylon, and it looks like a touchdown. Unless they say Bobo Wilson stepped out of bounds. And it looks like that will be the call. It is a first down for Florida State. The sideline believes it was a touchdown. And we've got a flag down.
Touchdown.
We got a one-on-one situation. That's your best cover corner, Hoggins.
That's a touchdown.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
And now they do rule it a touchdown.
And I said to you, South Florida's got to mix it up, Bob. And there you see the challenge. You keep 4 back. You try to keep numbers in front of you. You get gashed. You blitz. You bring 6. You leave a one-on-one. You can't cover. 28 points. 28 first-half points for an offense a week ago that, let's face it, was demoralized.
And what does this do for your defense as well when you come out of your Florida State after having basically a Louisville offense that named their number last week against you, and you give up on the first play of the game an 84-yard touchdown, and you're shell-shocked? Your offense continues to respond and keeps on giving you a fresh scoreboard and basically a do-over.
It's amazing how many times those two work together. We love to look at it statistically at times, or just kind of in a vacuum of this offense, while in this defense, when so often, especially at the collegiate level, those two are blended together. Look what it did to Louisville's defense last week. When they got a lead, I showed you, we watched the tape yesterday, hair on fire. I mean, reckless abandon, flying around like crazy. And DeAndre, well, he took the brunt of that last week. Not so today.
You can see he's walking with a little bit of a limp over on the sideline. And on this release, he gets twisted up. As diving around his ankles was Daniel Owaleke. He came off the field with a limp, but didn't even look like the trainers were concerned. Sean McGuire is available once again as the backup today for Florida State if necessary. And this will be another touchback. USF started with a one-play touchdown to begin the game and a terrific second drive where they had the Florida State offense Brock on their heels, but the FSU defense has now responded. A 2-touchdown lead.
And they've got to find a way to play a little offense and simultaneously play defense. That little mixture, that marriage I was just talking about. Another 3 and out puts a gas defense back on the field that has no answers. And you're just walking that line between wanting to attack, play up tempo. You know that's the strength of your group, but you also know if you do that, you further risk your defense.
Maybe a yard for Marlon Mack on first down. Trey Marshall came up and filled the gap, and that should take us to the end of the first quarter. And what a first quarter it has been. Let's see if USF gets set up quickly. They're going to try to get a snap off, and it looks like they will before the end of the quarter. And they do get the play off. Mack turns the corner. Shy of the first down. So a third down coming up once again for USF when we begin the second quarter. But it has been big plays offensively. And the scoreboard certainly reflects that at the end of one here in Tampa. Beautiful day in Tampa. But a terrible day to be a defensive coordinator. 28-14, Florida State has the lead over USF as we start the second quarter. Bob Wischusen alongside Brock Ewert. Allison Williams down on the field. And Brock, an immense third down, considering how this game has gone to start off the quarter for USF. Quarterback keeper. Short of the first down is Quentin Flowers. Brought down by Wally Amay. And that's a solid yard short. And here comes the punt group with Jonathan Hernandez as again FSU gets a third down stop.
I don't know about that. I would at least keep my offense out there. We see this so often, trying to draw defense off sides. I'm going to trust Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack, my big fellas, more than I am my defense right now. I know Willie trusts his group to play 60 minutes. They were down big to Syracuse, 17-0 a week ago. But if this is me, I'd go for it on fourth down.
More of a rugby style kick this time, trying to keep it away from Bobo Wilson, and that is accomplished by Hernandez.
Now that's big. That pays off that decision. Right, if you're going to play that game and try to punt and just try to change field position, you need Hernandez to deliver, and he does.
That early in the game, would you get that desperate as a play caller? You're thinking about going for it at your own 30, 35-yard line on fourth down?
I would never use the word desperate. We saw it a week ago with Nebraska, Mike Riley. It was attack. It's a mindset that you're telling your team. What did he tell Allison in the open? What did he talk to us about yesterday, Willie? I want my guys to attack. I don't want them to overthink.
So I would look at it on the other side, that the message that would be sent to my defense is, we don't think you can get a stop under any circumstances.
Well, you've shown us right now they're on pace to score 112.
DeAndre Francois gets outside the pocket and short hops one intended for Kermit Whitfield, but he did at least show some faith in his defense.
Yes.
That really is the message to the defense. You may have given up 28 points to this point, but on 4th and 1, I'm going to punt. I'm going to put you out there, and I'm going to let you try and play.
No, I understand that. I absolutely understand that. It just comes back, I think, in some of those moments of what you have talked to your kids about this week of attacking, and then just ultimately, who do you trust more? And from where I'm sitting, I trust their offensive group a lot more than what I've seen with their defense.
Dalvin Cook for 6 yards. Well, here's your USF defensive chance to make the punt decision pay off, as the Bulls have forced third down and a long 4 close to 5.
And this comes down to former D-line coach Raymond Woody right there, former D-lineman himself, an All-American. In fact, in his days, this comes down to his group. Because I don't think you want to blitz and create one-on-ones all over the field. This comes down to this front 4 right now that has to be aggressive. They have got to win their one-on-one situations.
The Bulls do bring a blitz. Incomplete on the slant. Intended for Travis Rudolph. The first time that the USF defense gets a stop.
And that's the best blitz that you can bring. That's the safest, most conservative. One of the advantages of college football and the wide hash marks is you can bring a corner blitz. That extra defender, the safety doesn't have to cover a ton of ground over the top. More often than not, they're a free rusher. And they finally force a punt and a 3 and out from the Seminoles.
Ernest Johnson gets to the 50, breaks a tackle. down to the FSU 35, 36-yard line. And there is a flag down as well.
Illegal block in the back. 13 of the return team. That's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
Jimbo Fisher not happy, but he did get the call. A block in the back that severely impacts field position. USF ball at their own 36 when we return. All right, Cassidy, thanks very much. Could you imagine if Ole Miss loses that lead? Think about what happened to Ole Miss against these Noles on opening night, and then last week to Alabama. They couldn't lose another lead, could they?
I don't think so. Georgia is got some real struggles.
Yeah.
Playing a true freshman quarterback. We saw them week number 1 in that juggling act. They've had 3 games come down to the wire. Doesn't really matter who they play. Nicholls State or Missouri a week ago. I'd be pretty surprised if that thing turns around in a hurry in Oxford.
Marlon Mack lines up behind Quentin Flowers in the pistol to start this drive, which is basically beginning right where Willie Taggart bypassed going for it on 4th down. So his decision to punt paid off. Mack met in the backfield. Frederick Jones, the redshirt sophomore, doing his uncle proud.
Beat them back to the ball. Strike, disengage. Don't ever be in doubt. Those are the 3 messages from Charles Kelly to his defensive lineman. Took a picture of those notes, in fact, yesterday. Didn't do it one time last week. Could not disengage. Could not get in the backfield. And Jones showing up once again.
Open to the near side is Dearness Johnson. And that sets up a manageable 3rd down for USF.
And that's Quentin Flowers making an adjustment, seeing the pressure, seeing the blitz. In order to get any of this tempo going, we see it all the time, you have got to find a way to move the chains. Yet again, another critical 3rd down.
Keeper for Quentin Flowers. Just short of the 1st down. So it's another decision for South Florida and Willie Taggart. Do you go for it on 4th down from your side of the 50? It looks like this time South Florida will leave their offense on the field. Going tempo. Decisive. Flags down.
False start. Offense number 85. It's a 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And that is just an absolute killer. That's Elkanah Dillon, true sophomore. Play the cards right the last time. You decide to play a little conservatively. You trust your defense, your special teams, Willie Taggart. And that is just what it goes on your grade sheet is a critical error. A mental mistake you just cannot have in a pre-snap penalty on a 4th and 1 situation.
And for South Florida, that becomes their 4th consecutive 3 and out after starting the game with 2 touchdowns. And this play is whistled dead. It looks like delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. The game clock will start on the snap.
Moment too big? Is this stage just a little too bright right now for Willie Taggart's team? Felt like a season ago, really turned the corner, got to 8-5. But right now, just seeing breakdowns in every phase, breakdowns with pre-snap penalties, breakdowns with tackling, breakdowns with some of just the base fundamentals that you've got to at least ask yourself for a team that's not been in this moment before. But it's just simply too much right now.
Good punt, though, by Jonathan Hernandez. Forces Bobo Wilson into a fair catch. That's a 47-yard kick. Aflac. Time for our Aflac trivia question. Right here at Raymond James. This is the site of this year's College Football Playoff National Championship game on January 9th. Name 2 winners of the Super Bowl that have been played in this stadium. Can you name those 2 winners? Brock Ewert?
Yes. 2?
He says with
2?
arrogance. Looks like another timeout called by Jimbo Fisher from the Florida State sideline. as his offense couldn't get lined up. So we will step aside. Florida State with a 2-touchdown lead.
College football presented by Walmart. Brought to you by Pacific Life. Helping generations of families achieve long-term financial security for over 145 years. And Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Selman, member of the College Football Hall of Fame for his days at Oklahoma, but now has become a Tampa Bay institution. Legendary player for the Bucs. Now the AD for South Florida. Another timeout called, and the conversation continues between DeAndre Francois and Jimbo Fisher. Hasn't always been a pleasant conversation for DeAndre. After the timeout, on first down, 4-man rush. Swings it left, and again it's short, intended for Dalvin Cook. And Allison, you're down there watching that back and forth between Jimbo and his young quarterback.
I think you can see him dealing with the challenges of a first-year starter at quarterback with redshirt freshman DeAndre Francois. The last time on the sideline, he grabbed the whiteboard, went over a play with him, and Francois looked at him confused. He said, well, what if he doesn't know? And Jimbo yelled, then you tell him. You can tell Francois still learning this offense and learning how to lead this team.
That's the first time in a long time. Very inexperienced quarterback. Hand off wide open for Dalvin Cook. No one home for the Bulls. An easy first down, a gain of 17. And a late flag thrown.
Dead ball, personal foul, 54, 15 yards, still first down.
So Alec Eberle, the redshirt sophomore center, called for a personal foul after the play was over.
And that's the right call. That's called a freebie right around the pile. You'll see Eberle come in here. Long after the whistle, long after the play, that's a no-brainer. That's first hand back as well. We've seen that outside stretch. And I love the way Jimbo calls plays. I love the way he's hard on his quarterbacks too. He's demanding, he's exacting. With that hand back wide open. Expect to see that again this afternoon.
Dalvin Cook again. Another Florida State first down. What a first half it has been for Dalvin Cook. A gain of 13 more.
Over 7 yards to carry last year. Led the FBS. He's got home run hitting ability. Everybody around college football talk about Royce Freeman and Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette. And there's some really gifted kids. As far as the total package and the opportunity to hit a home run at any time at 210 pounds, very few on the list like Dalvin Cook.
Screen set up for Kermit Whitfield. To the 42-yard line. 9 yards on first down.
Just easy completions, right? I mean, these are little bubble screens in spread systems. You have a pro style here, but it is the exact same concept. Ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage so the outside perimeter players can block, and just gets your young quarterback feeling good about himself after taking a beating 7 days ago.
Dalvin Cook right up the middle. Dalvin Cook down the sideline. They are just helpless to stop the run game of Dalvin Cook and Florida State. 45 more yards. He has 185 yards on 9 carries.
And you see South Florida trying to go big, trying not to be in their nickel formation there. They bring in extra linebacker Danny Thomas, but unfortunately Augie Sanchez, middle linebacker, runs right into darkness. And eyes get closed, and number 4 is going to feel it with an incredible vision. And he does it at full speed. And I think that's the coaching point and the teaching point with Dalvin. Those cuts and those moves made at 100 miles an hour.
Here's Jaquez Patrick. Running. South Florida defenders over down to the 3-yard line. Nigel Harris again was run over by a Florida State running back.
No, he's given up 10 pounds. Your nickelback's given up 20 pounds. Your safeties are just not equipped right now. If your front can't get it done and they can't disengage, your back seven's not good enough, not equipped to handle this.
Patrick trying to move the pile to the goal line. And they will say forward progress stopped at the 1. Yolowalake held Jacquez Patrick out of the end zone.
I mean, this is the most encouraging sign to a Florida State Seminole fan and to a coaching staff, frankly. You know what you have in Dalvin. Jacquez, Gatorade State Player of the Year in Florida, incredibly gifted. What you did not know was your O-line that has been battered, that has been tattered, and do they have the ability to do this? And that is just own your opponent. It's been some time since they have.
There's Frederick Jones in motion. Tries to help pave the way for Patrick, who again is brought down shy of the goal line. It will be 3rd down and goal for the Noles. Play action. Francois blown up behind the line. Mike Love gets a big tackle for loss. And South Florida will hold to a field goal attempt.
That's first call I don't like. I mean, 4-down territory to me, as long as he didn't go backwards. And you're asking a true freshman here, Landon Dickerson, to get outside to a defensive end that's got a one-track mind, and that's to bring contain and hit that quarterback in hopes he does just that in a play-action pass.
Ricky Aguayo converts from 25 yards out, but that's the first time down deep we've seen that South Florida defense get the stop. Midway through the second quarter. Maybe a little momentum on the South Florida sideline. Welcome back with our answer to our Aflac trivia question. Raymond James, the site of this year's College Football National Championship game on January 9th. Named 2 winners of the 2 Super Bowls played here in this stadium. And it's the Ravens and Steelers. Our colleague Trent Dilfer, part of that Baltimore group that beat the Giants. And who can ever forget Ben Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes. One of the great catches you'll ever see in that back right corner of the end zone. What a game that was with Arizona. Touchback for South Florida. At 10 a.m. Eastern, NFL Insiders tomorrow, the Sunday edition with all the injury news, fantasy updates, and early breaking stories. Then at 11, the new countdown crew for Sunday NFL Countdown. Take you right up to kickoff. Both shows. As always, streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart. Allison Williams down on the field. 4 straight 3-and-outs for this South Florida offense. Flowers down the sideline. Underthrown, and it's picked off by Tavares McFadden.
Attack. 8 shots in this game, at least 2 a quarter, especially on first down. McFadden got beat. First snap of this game. Not the second time. And there was no doubt where Quentin was going with the ball. He's looking to that one-on-one the entire way. A little bit more urgency in McFadden's step there. First play of the game, not necessarily so much as Adams ran right by him. And that time, McFadden gets his 3rd pick, team-leading 3rd pick. And Sean King, quarterback coach, telling Quentin right there, that's got to be our guy's ball or nobody. The last thing you can do right there is give these athletes an opportunity to go high-point it.
Only the 2nd interception thrown this year by Quentin Flowers. Great field position for the Noles. Play action for DeAndre Francois. Extending the play. Tripped up and he goes down. Sacked by Bruce Hector. That's a loss of 5. Let's check in with Allison.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher has been all over that offensive line. This is actually the 4th different starting combination they've had up front, with Rock Rubel getting the start over on the right side. But he was really after Roderick Johnson, that left tackle, saying, you guys got to be tough out there. You've got to be our leader. Stop grabbing and start moving your feet.
Interesting. That is a first-team All-ACC, second-team All-American tackle. And Rod Johnson. Swing pass caught by Whitfield. Nope, lost it. Couldn't hold on. 3rd down and 15.
Jimbo's about to lose his mind. He's screaming at everybody. He's grabbing chalkboards. If you wondered about his intensity after being embarrassed last week, there's no worries. He's screaming at linemen. He's screaming at receivers. He's screaming at quarterbacks. Because there's more opportunities. 31 points. Dalvin Cook, 180 yards rushing, and yet there is still more.
Comes a blitz on 3rd down. Francois low to the outside and incomplete. Terrific job by the South Florida defense to get the sack on 1st down, and after the turnover, dealing with sudden change, force a 3-and-out.
And he's saying, 1st down, I've got a bubble screen. Just throw it to him, please. 1st down, I had a shot. 2nd down, I had a bubble screen. 3rd down, throw it in the flat. And you know that Jimbo, we have watched this for his 7 years as a head coach. E.J. Manuel, it doesn't matter who it is. Jameis Winston, he is going to challenge you and get in your face and demand you to be perfect.
Wobbly kick. That will take a hop and stop at about the 25-yard line of South Florida. 17-point lead for Florida State. In spite of a 17-point lead for Florida State, animated conversations between Jimbo Fisher, his offensive line, his young quarterback over on that FSU sideline, as South Florida takes over again at their own 25.
A lot more complexity in that system. For South Florida, this is mentality. What do I want to do? Right, Jimbo's want to get everybody on the same page, and there's a lot of X's and O's, a lot of scheme, a lot of reads. South Florida has limited that playbook. But you've taken shots, it's not worked. Tried to run the ball and been ineffective. You've got to find answers if you're Willie Taggart, because this is the crew that's going to turn it around.
Jet sweep to Marlon Mack. And a gang tackle by the Florida State defense. Matthew Thomas was the first there, but we talk about that camera club. There's Nate Andrews. They had 6 white and garnet jerseys surrounding Marlon Mack after only a gain of 2. Mack has nowhere to go. Does well to maybe lose only a yard. DeMarcus Walker shoved him well behind the line. Now it's 3rd down and long.
Pretty remarkable. First play of the game, go around, touchdown. Good second drive where you had Florida State reeling and guessing a little bit. And you just see the body language of Quentin Flowers right there. I don't like it. Come on. Everybody's going to follow your lead. I don't need hands on shoulders. I don't need a defeated look of interceptions and 6 punts. I need the Energizer Bunny that's going to make everybody around me better.
Third down and 10. He's under pressure. He's going down again. That Florida State defense has fed off of their offense after giving up those 2 touchdowns to begin. And there's another true freshman, Brian Burns, in the backfield again. And Brock, let's remember, the Noles start the 3rd quarter with the football. They won the toss and deferred. So they're about to get it back again before halftime with a 17-point lead, knowing that coming out of the locker room, they'll get it right back. Another knuckleball kick. This one returnable for Bobo Wilson. And he is brought down close to midfield.
If Jimbo Fisher were coaching on the other side and coaching Quentin Flowers, I promise you he's coming off the field and saying, what are you looking at here? You've got good protection. Look at the read to the bottom of the field. You've got it. You've got a one-on-one here that's held these two guys. You will not have a better window than that. You've got to trust your eyes. You've got to trust your ability to read the field and see it and throw it. And right now, Quentin Flowers isn't.
Right back to the ground game for Florida State. Whereas Patrick turns the corner. Down the sideline. Inside the 30. Out of bounds at the 29. 22 more on the ground for the Seminoles.
That's 2 times what we call hand back. It's a counteraction, and you're showing that ball, trying to get the fast flow of a front 7 and 2 linebackers in particular that love to flow quickly, and then you use that speed against them to hand the ball back. Cook with the big play earlier. That time the big fella Johnson delivers.
250 yards rushing in the first half for Florida State and more. As Patrick this time weaves his way for 2.
Excuse me, I meant Jacquez. You don't mess up a 230-pound back's name. You just don't do that. What a 1-2 punch. It's what they dreamed and envisioned. You have Dalvin Cook, who is not a finesse back. And he's a hammer as well, but that's a sledgehammer.
Now Dalvin Cook back in the game. And a lot of hands on hips on that South Florida defense. Francois off play action. Bullets one over the middle. Inside the 5-yard line goes Bobo Wilson. 1st and goal, Florida State.
And that's a let-it-rip throw. That's the first one in about a quarter. And Jimbo likes that. In this system, he asks his trigger man to take more risks than some. It led to a lot of interceptions for Jameis at times, but he wants that guy to go play ball. Yard ball. Go play ball. It's not going to be perfect all the time, and if it's a tight window, trust yourself and your arm to let it rip. He did for really one of the first occasions here in the first half on that play. This should be 4 runs. It requires 4.
Well, it's going to require at least 1 more, as Freddie Stevenson was met by Mike Love, who has probably had about as good a first half as any front 7 player for South Florida. Now it's 2nd down and goal after a loss of 4.
And if you're getting after Rod Johnson, as Allison talked about, and you're getting after those linemen, to me, you have a chance here of 17 to make a real statement. And not lateral run it right at these guys. If you want them to be physical and have some of that mindset up front, give them an opportunity to do it.
Instead, they'll throw. They'll slip a screen right in the middle to Dalvin Cook, and he's down to the 1. Where it will now be 3rd down and goal.
That's a great call. That's in essence a run. Very conservative and safe. It now puts you a yard away, and this is 4-down territory. Don't get cute. Rush big fellas in. You go right after them.
Frederick Jones is in there to play fullback once again. This doesn't look like get cute personnel on the field for Florida State.
You're saying big man can't be cute?
Now a timeout.
That was Bob Wischusen that said that. Frederick, I think you're a good-looking guy. Nothing better than 300-pound fullbacks.
I'm sure that's what Dalvin Cook thinks. Pretty nice to run behind a 300-pounder. Let's take a look at today's right combination, brought to you by State Farm. And this Florida State team has 2 number 4s that can both play.
They sure do, and Dalvin just has to feel a sense of relief. The opening game against Ole Miss had 100 yards receiving, but just did not have many creases and open field to do his damage. And on the other side, Tavares McFadden leads this team in picks, but he's long. He's exactly how you draw him up. 6'2", 198 pounds, 5-star corner, top 50 player 2 years ago. Charles Kelly told us yesterday, light bulb's coming on. He's starting to feel some of that length and strength. And his play is backing it up.
So after the timeout by Florida State, 3rd down and goal inside the 1. And it's Stevenson. A little misdirection. And he's got another touchdown, his 2nd here in the first half.
A little adjustment we've not talked an awful lot about, but Brock Rubel started this game at right tackle. Wasn't Rick Leonard, converted defensive tackle, and he and Izzo have done a nice job at tight end and tackle, collapsing that backside edge. Big fella, 6'8", 320, paving the way for the senior Stevenson to deliver in the red zone.
– 38-14 Florida State. What an answer after the 2 quick touchdowns for South Florida to start. And the green apple helmet decals you see, part of the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative created by the College Football Playoff Foundation. And ESPN is proud to support college football's week-long salute to teachers in their local communities throughout the country. To learn more about how Extra Yard for Teachers is honoring, celebrating, and inspiring these educators, you can visit www.cfp-foundation.org.
Well, as the son of 2 teachers, I can appreciate a quality teacher. We got 2 good ones. 2 head coaches that act as offensive coordinators as well. A little different. A lot of staff turnover for Willie Taggart over his 3 years. Not so much for Jimbo and Florida State offensively. Both guys call the shots. We've seen Jimbo teach. And unique in different ways at times, different methods, as every good teacher has. Gotten the most out of an offense that was stagnant 7 days ago.
31 unanswered points for Florida State. Still enough time before halftime for South Florida with 2 timeouts and 1:18 on the clock to try to get something going. And we'll come out to the 25-yard line again. And we were wondering whether or not there would be an answer after that Louisville performance last week for FSU. Well, we have gotten our answer, especially since the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there was a little concern and worry early. I mean, you couldn't start it off worse. Give up an 80-yard touchdown pass. Next drive, you're discombobulated. You're not communicating. Touchdown run. In fact, half your team was hardly lined up, but the offense never wavered. And Jimbo liked his matchups. He knows what he has, and that guy in particular just take over a game, and he's done so in the first half.
Ernest Johnson finds a lane. That has a first down, and that is the first down for this South Florida offense since we had 11:49 left in the first quarter. Scoring on their first 2 drives, hadn't picked up a first down since. There goes Johnson again. Back-to-back plays and back-to-back first downs.
And you got to go. You're going to kick off. Florida State deferred. They will get the ball to the second half, and this is a must-score situation.
Actually mark him down after a gain of only 9. It looked like they were set to move the chains. And now whistles stop this play before it begins. Looks like a flag is down.
Illegal substitution. Defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Reserves for the first down.
That's the first time in quite a while we have seen the pace of the South Florida offense affect the Florida State defense.
You have to move the sticks. Any tempo coach going to tell you that. It's wonderful, and you can draw it up on any whiteboard you want. Charles Kelly, D coordinator, knows you force 3 and outs, and you don't see those sticks moving. You really take the legs out of any tempo an offense wants to run.
Now it's Darius Tice as the tailback next to Flowers.
And where's 87? Where's Rodney Adams? He's a guy right here, and they like their little bubble screens to him when they have opportunities to get him the ball.
Flowers wants the big play. To guess who? Flag down. Adams got a step. And Marcus Lewis, it looks like, has drawn the flag.
Pass interference. Defense number 24. 15-yard penalty. First down.
We saw Lewis earlier, similar play. That time, just a little contact with that off arm. Last time, There was very little contact made. That's close. That's not bad, but tendencies are there for a reason. And when you're having success, as South Florida did in the first 3 offensive games, it was getting that guy the ball early and often.
Flowers under pressure and sacked. The last thing that the South Florida offense could afford. DeMarcus Walker had 10.5 sacks last season. 4.5 sacks through the first 3 games this season. And that forces the Bulls to take a timeout as well with 32 seconds to go before halftime. This is a drive that feels like for USF, Brock, has to result in 7 before halftime. I don't know that even just the momentum of going down and kicking a field goal, maybe getting some points before halftime, does 3 do anything for them with Florida State starting the second half with the ball? I
mean, it helps with some level of morale, but you're spot on. And as important as it is for these players, how about this crowd that has thinned? I mean, this crowd that was so amped up, and Willie Taggart saying, man, after 4 years of building this thing, this is the game to take a opportunity of it for the national audience to look, for our home fans that have been on the fence. Am I in? Am I out? You're 3-0. You've won 10 of your last 12. Well, this was a measuring stick game. And you're on the short end of that stick in a significant way here in the first half.
It's hard to believe less than 5 minutes into the game, it was 14-7 South Florida.
You can see the damage they have done. First 3 games, that really carried over into last season as well. Finish strong. Got to finish his first half strong.
Another unusual formation with 2 stacked sets of wide receivers.
We love the vertical game out of this.
4-man rush. Flowers steps up, floats one. 2 players there. And that had to be a mistake, as Elkanah Dillon and Rodney Adams both basically ran the exact same route.
Yeah, and that's a tight end, 85. He's got to get across the field. When you see that set, you will see verticals off of it, but guys got to spatially attack every quadrant of the field. They don't there, and it wasn't for contact. Dillon just losing sight of some of his fundamentals.
And now it's 3rd down and 17, and you're not even in field goal range from here. Flowers out of the pocket. Tucks it under. Weaves his way for a first down. How about that? Still with a timeout and 17 seconds now in the red zone. Steps up again, floats one back of the end zone, and this one out of the end zone, intended for Dearness Johnson. So now you still have that timeout. The entire field is at your disposal, but only 11 seconds to go before halftime.
And thankfully, you got that one timeout, so everything is open to you here. If you're Quentin, you do have to be a little bit concerned with 11 seconds. Running around, extending the play, all wonderful, all strength of his, but that little sense of urgency with just 11 on the clock.
He only has 1 completion here in the first half beyond the first play of the game, as Rodney Adams scored to open the game. He's the motion man on 2nd down. And now South Florida has to call their timeout with the clock stopped.
Yeah, that can't happen.
That's a killer. So when you saw this, Brock, where do you think the disconnect is from Willie Taggart on the sideline and Quentin Flowers, his quarterback? Because it was Willie Taggart that was forced to call that timeout.
That's everybody. That's everyone running around. You can see a quarterback, and he's sucking winds, and he's gassed, and they love the vertical game. They love to attack. But they got guys all over the field that then have to find a way to get back on the field and get a line and get to your red zone play. And having said all of that, that can't happen. Now you are limited to what you can do. Now you do have to throw it into the end zone. Because even if you throw it past the sticks and getting the field goal team on and everything else, and a sack here is an absolute no-no.
Even a first down with the clock stopped, would you have enough time to run up and spike it to get your field goal group out? This most likely has to be a ball in the end zone. Flowers goes down, and that will end the half. A disastrous end to the first half with no points now for South Florida.
Not ready for the moment.
And the Seminoles will start the second half with the football. We'll join Stan Barrett, Mac Brown, Mark May, our halftime report after these messages from our ABC stations.
Dalvin Cook with a career-high 266 yards against South Florida last year in Tallahassee. He's going to slash that mark if he keeps going the way he's going right now. Allison Williams with Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo, I've seen you have some animated conversations with DeAndre Francois. What have you been telling your quarterback?
Lock in and focus and play every play. Don't give him an inch. Score every drive like we're capable of doing, and our whole team needs to lock in. We haven't done anything. We need to focus and play football one at a time.
What did you do defensively differently after their first couple scores?
Our job.
Which was what? What was the key? What adjustment?
Get in your gap, lay eye control, and tackle the guy with the ball.
Jimbo, thank you.
Thank you.
Jimbo Fisher, all business. His Noles up 38-14 on South Florida right now. Welcome in, along with Mac Brown and Mark May. I'm Stan Barrett. So, Coach, I think that loss last week to Louisville still under Jimbo Fisher's skin.
When you're a prideful team and you get your rear end kicked like they did last weekend, and you've been cussed and discussed all week by media, by fans, plus, players by their coaches, Jimbo's not in any mood to hear about how great they played the first half. He's still thinking about last week. But those teams, worst thing could have happened to South Florida's the game last week with Florida State and Louisville.
They lost by 43.
Worst thing.
And they're up by 24 right now. Dalvin Cook, a big part of it. 185 rushing yards on 9 carries in the first half, plus 46 receiving yards. Last week, only 62 yards from scrimmage in a loss to Louisville, Mark.
Well, it's the entire offensive line and the offense that did a terrific job for him today, opening up big holes. The offense is averaging 10 yards per carry on 25 carries in the first half. I think that's key, but Dalvin Cook is definitely the straw that's stirring the drink for this offense this afternoon.
Welcome back to college football, presented by Walmart. And welcome back to the American Conference on ABC. Just about set for the start of the third quarter, and a day outside of Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa that the fans may get an early jump on enjoying, because Florida State, with a dominant first half performance after a slow start. Bob Wischusen alongside Brock Ewart, and Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. We started with wondering what the response for the Noles would be off of the embarrassing loss last week. And they give up a touchdown on the first play of the game, and then we got the response from there.
39 plays, 390 yards. That's easy math. That's 10 yards a play. It's a career first half from Dalvin Cook, who likes playing these guys. 266 a year ago, $185 in that first half. Their offense responded tremendously. And I love the approach and attitude. Your back's up against the wall. Coaches typically do two things. Go back to your fundamentals, which they did this week with their hitting and their tackling and their blocking. And then let me trust my best player and get him going. And Dalvin Cook took over the game in the first half.
How surprised are you as we take a look? How surprised are you that physically this is the same group up front that we saw from Florida State last week?
Pretty surprised offensively. I think schematically, unfortunately for South Florida, what they do plays into the hands of Florida State. They're not complex. They don't blitz much. They line up and let you hit them. And that played into the hands of a very productive first 30 minutes.
Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And it couldn't have started better for South Florida. One play from scrimmage, and this was about half of their offensive production in the first 30 minutes.
It was exactly half of the number of completions that Quentin Flowers had. The entire first half, just 2. That was a big one. They took their shots. They just could not hit enough of them. And the opening play for Dalvin Cook, couple missed tackles, tremendous blocks right in front of him. Running, catching, playing every play. Jimbo's demanding his guys to do so, and Dalvin certainly did.
Start the second half with Dalvin Cook. And this time he is cut down after 2 yards. Allison?
When you miss tackles against Dalvin Cook, he will make you pay. That's what USF head coach Willie Taggart told me at the half. He said, we have to do a better job of putting our guys in a good position. But when they're there and they have the opportunity to wrap them up, they have to make that tackle. Offensively, he said it's a matter of calming down and executing. And they have to get first downs, guys. They've had too many second and longs. It's hurt them, and they've got to be better moving the chains.
Cook up the middle. And it is third down to start off the second half for Florida State. Well, South Florida short-circuited to end the first half offensively as well. That hurt badly.
Yeah, you can't manage it any worse. You burned the only timeout you had. You can't take a sack. Got to throw the ball away, salvage at least a field goal. They did neither. Coaches always tell you going into halftime and coming out, South Florida could not have gone in worse. They can help themselves a little bit coming out if they force a 3 and out here.
Straight quarterback keeper and an easy pickup for DeAndre Francois. Dragging tacklers to midfield. Jamon Thomas went for the ride. That's a gain of 17 on third down and 2.
And that's just a miss once again in every phase. You stunt away from the run call. You have no edge player. You have no numbers. When Willie Taggart says we got to help our kids, well, that means get numbers to the football. Schematically, they don't there. That's simply too easy.
Dalvin Cook, that time he's met a gain of 3. Deidrin Senat in on the tackle. Got help from Dietrich Nichols, who was Dalvin Cook's old high school teammate. Miami Central puts out a lot of football players. And a couple of old high school teammates just met there.
Senat's a big man, most powerful man in that front. Squats nearly 700 pounds. See the shoulder pad all out of whack. That D-line been pushed around, been tugged, been pulled, but that time finally gets a clean shot on number 4.
DeAndre Francois went down. That's a sack, and now it's third down and at least 11, close to 12. So here is a chance for South Florida's defense to get off the field, and that ball may have come out as well, though it looks like DeAndre Francois was able to recover.
And once again, it was Senat forcing the early pressure. The ball absolutely out.
Augie Sanchez was in on the sack and was fighting for recovery of the football.
Clear recovery. I think Augie asking for everybody in that replay who looks at every single play to take a second, third look at that one.
The Bulls show blitz. And now whistles before the play.
The ruling on the field is that Florida State recovered their fumble. That ruling is under further review.
Well, just at the last moment before the snap, the reason that play was stopped was obviously the buzzer goes off down on the field, and the replay booth says we do have to take another look at this.
Well, there is no doubt the ball is out.
Would you call that clear recovery?
Does not have his hands on the ball at any time. He's got his feet, and he's doing what he can to try to keep containment of the football. Was DeAndre with his feet here. That's tremendous effort and 1-2 from Augie Sanchez, best defensive player on this team.
Can DeAndre Francois recover a football with his legs? Because that certainly seemed to be where Augie Sanchez took the ball from. It was right between his legs. And obviously enough uncertainty there that the replay booth wants to take another look, but will they get a definitive look to see a recovery by Augie Sanchez?
Whistle not blown. They're fighting for it. Clear and decisive recovery of the ball.
I guess logic states that if this ball is between the legs of DeAndre Francois and it just took a little while for Augie Sanchez to dig it out, that you could argue that this is his recovery, but there's never really a clear look at the football on any of these replays. So I'm not sure if there's indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. But if it turns out that this is a South Florida recovery, Brock, that might be just the play that they need to get at least the remainder of this crowd back in the game. They give their offense a short field.
Yeah,
this is a big review.
Well, and remember two things. It takes this much time. You're looking at the possibility of not only whether it's clear, which I think it is, also where you're going to mark that football if it goes back the other way.
Here we go.
After review, it is determined that South Florida recovered the ball.
There you go.
First down.
So it is a takeaway for the South Florida defense to start off the second half.
Well, and the captain and the leader. Dalvin Cook took over the first half. That guy has got to come to life here in the final 30 minutes. Leading tackler, second all-time last year in his tackle total of 117. Second most in the history of the program. And they've been good in his face. +4 on the season, coming in and taking the football away. That's now +5. Positive field position. Got to create some hope. Got to create a sense of belief. Takeaways can go a long ways to doing so.
Is there any way to create that sense of belief other than a touchdown on this drive with the short field? Play action. Flowers wants to take a shot into double coverage. Intercepted. Intended for Marquez. Valdez-Scantling. Nate Andrews was back there and ran under it as if he was recovering or fielding a punt. They'll say momentum carried him into the end zone, and they will spot the ball at the 5-yard line.
Charles Kelly said, I don't call them turnovers. I call them takeaways because we're the ones doing the business and making the plays, and that's an absolute no-no. A center fielder, a senior, and Nate Andrews, that's an obvious read, both pre-snap and post-snap. I love the mentality to let your buddies around you help you out, make plays, but not when you're throwing into double coverage, not after a takeaway. It's pretty glaring.
Dalvin Cook to the 10-yard line, a gain of 5 on first down. So South Florida, right after they get the takeaway, one play later, they hand it right back to FSU.
I'll tell you what I am seeing, though. I'm finally seeing a little bit of adjustments from a defensive staff. Watch the safeties. These safeties are flying. That idea of just keeping everything in front and bend but don't break, that is out the door when you're down 24 in the second half. And these safeties are nosy, which they've got to be. They've got to come up and contribute in the tackling game. And from that, you know the adjustment on the other side. Jimbo is going to take some shots in the play-action game.
DeAndre Francois with Dalvin Cook out as a lead blocker. A first down and then some to the 28-yard line. Devin Abraham eventually made the tackle, but not before the redshirt freshman quarterback picked up 20.
And this is a numbers game. Good on Jimbo. That's third time quarterback sweep. And if they're not going to align and they're going to give me that edge every single time, they've gone into that wing alignment now 3 different occasions and ran quarterback sweep. And instead of going away from it and trusting that defense to make an adjustment, you keep running until they stop it.
Dalvin Cook, a little jump cut. And he is corralled by Nigel Harris. 4 yards on first down.
I've told you the story, I think, before. When I was backing up Peyton Manning playing the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Moore, the longtime offensive coordinator there, and I was an excellent charter of plays. Probably what I did best at the NFL level.
No one held the clipboard
ran the
like
same
you did.
play 15 straight times. Dice right, slant blunt, check with me, alert, quick game. 15 straight times. If they don't have an answer, you keep taking it.
Francois. That's the first time he's found Maven Saunders, his big tight end. As a first down, forward progress to the 44 for 12 more.
That's a couple throws with real authority. In the second half, going into their last scoring drive, you saw those over routes. Jimbo loves to attack the entirety of the field. He wants a quarterback that can fully read it and have the awareness to do so. There was a chunk play earlier, and that one thrown on time with precision and some tremendous authority.
Dalvin Cook breaks a tackle. Another Florida State first down. We talked to Jimbo Fisher last night, and you could sense his mentality coming into this game. Talking about that Louisville loss where they gave up 530 yards of offense, and Lamar Jackson had 5 total touchdowns in the game, and they were embarrassed. He said, it's almost like we've won so much here, it's like, nah, that can't happen to us. But this group has to understand they have to grind. And he is not taking his foot off the gas pedal. This time it's Patrick. He's into the secondary. Into the red zone, running through tacklers to the 14-yard line. I think his team got the message. Gain of 27.
This is just that outside stretch zone. Getting to that corner been such a good play for Florida State. Once again, it's Izzo, it's Saunders. Those tight ends a real factor.
That's backup linebacker Danny Thomas.
See, one of the challenges when you're a nickel defense, and you see Augie coming off the field as well, he's gassed. He's spending everything he's got. You're a nickel defense. That means you're 4 down, you're 2 linebackers. What the NFL has largely become, 60+% of the NFL is nickel snaps. You are susceptible. People can line up and run right at you. And when you go with your big base package, and that's Danny Thomas, and he's 210 pounds at linebacker, it's a problem. It's a 235-pound battering ram at running back.
Wes Patrick stays in the game. That's another chance. Uses the stiff arm. Ryan Izzo, the tight end out on the edge, helped pave the way for a gain inside the 7.
One thing as well, getting ready for this game, you go back and look at some of the numbers of Jimbo through the years. 52% run to 48% pass in 7 years. First-round quarterback, first-round quarterback, first-round quarterback, but you do it with tremendous balance, still being actually a run-first team.
Patrick with a first down to the 3-yard line. 1st and goal for Florida State.
Quarterbacks get the draft pick. You get to continue to recruit quarterbacks that are, you can easily convince that you're going to get into the league, as Jimbo has done with all of his signal callers. But to me, you spread out a toughness and a mentality for your entire ball club on offense and defense when you're committed first and foremost to running the football.
Well, they've got 353 rushing yards to this point. Another handoff to the fullback, looking for another touchdown is Freddie Stevenson. He's got 2 already today, but that time Tajay Fullwood was ready and got the stop. 2nd down and goal.
And North Carolina's going to watch his tape. Miami's going to watch his tape in Clemson, and a loaded resume still. I mean, the schedule, when you're sitting there at 13, it's got enough meat on it that can help you climb right back up that ladder. And they're going to watch and see a mindset here against a good group. Not a great group up front, a good group defensively that they've just owned at the line of scrimmage.
Patrick gets to the edge and walks into the end zone with another Florida State touchdown. Play touchdown drive, 9 runs.
Teaching tape. Look at Ryan Izzo. I've been heaping praise on him all day, rightfully so. It's a combo block with left tackle Roderick Johnson. There's nobody. There's nobody. And you can see Izzo 10 yards deep into the end zone driving that defender. That's teaching tape.
From your own 5-yard line to the end zone after the interception. And Florida State pouring it on. After 31 unanswered points to end the first half, did Jimbo Fisher sound satisfied? This was him to Allison Williams before halftime.
Don't give him an inch. Score every drive like we're capable of doing, and our whole team needs to lock in. We haven't done anything. We need to focus and play football one at a time.
There you go. And now it's up to 38 unanswered points. And I'm not sure that there is an unanswered point total today, Brock Ewart, off the performance last week. against Louisville that will satisfy the Florida State head coach.
And I'm not sure if Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher are brothers, but they certainly are in football thesis and study. Because you hear them talk all the time about process. What is process? It's just what he said right there. It's about this second half, but that second half getting you ready for the rest of this season as well.
Rodney Adams paused and paid the price with a flag down out near midfield, or rather at the 30-yard line.
It's Nick Saban saying he had the most dissatisfying win. It's Western Kentucky, just dissatisfying. We didn't play to our potential. Every inch, every play, to have that kind of hyper focus. That's how you advance your program week to week.
Illegal block. 31 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So that will back South Florida up. Looks like inside their own 10-yard line.
Football presented by Walmart. Brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition. The all-new Honda Ridgeline for truck tough things and everyday things. And Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Beautiful campus here in Tampa. And the South Florida fans with the selfies yesterday, and many of them came with high hopes today, but they have seen Florida State, Brock Eward, exert the dominance that I think all FSU fans wanted to see. They just didn't want to come down here and get a win. They wanted to come down and show that that was not their program last week at Louisville.
That's exactly right. In beyond hope, I really believe in that building yesterday in South Florida. Even talking to Jimbo, he thought this was going to be a much more competitive game physically. But South Florida's changed their bodies. They've changed their offensive line and defensive line. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. Yet today they're in no match there right at the point of attack time and again.
After giving up 2 touchdowns to start the game on the first 2 possessions for South Florida, it has been FSU's defense that has pitched a shutout. Here's Marlon Mack. Maybe a yard or 2, and you think Jimbo Fisher was satisfied with his defense. Here he was to Allison before halftime as well.
What did you do defensively differently after their first couple scores?
Our job.
Which was what? What was the key? What adjustment?
Get in your gap, lay eye control, and tackle the guy with the ball.
Jimbo, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got an injured bull down on the field. And that's Marlon Mack. He may have been poked in the eye. But with his offense, with his defense, regardless of what the score is on the scoreboard, you're the Florida State head coach coming off of that performance last week. You are not taking your foot off the gas pedal.
Nope, and you got a front seven that you're still learning about. You got new linebackers. That was Wally Ame on the tackle there, doing exactly what he said. Shed your blocker, strike them, get off those blocks and finish. Something they didn't do tremendous against Ole Miss, and they did very poorly in prime time last week.
Quarterback keeper for Quentin Flowers. Not much there. It'll be 3rd down once again for South Florida. Ame and Jacob Pugh both out on the edge, combining to run Flowers out. Throws it away. No one open downfield. Jacob Pugh, along with DeMarcus Walker, collapsing and forcing Flowers outside the pocket, and it's another 3 and out for the Bulls.
We haven't called Walker's name a ton as far as tackles go, but his influence has been tremendous, and you knew it would be. He's the guy that this entire month of September has showed up. He was relentless last week. As Allison told us earlier, he was the one that called the defense and called the players-only meeting to say enough is enough. I mean, that was embarrassing for all of us. 63 points, 530 yards. And he, like the rest, has tremendous response after those 2 initial drives.
Jesus Bobo Wilson, another punt return. into plus territory again. Great field position at the South Florida 39-yard line after an 18-yard return. Let's take a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. And getting drubbed out of the top 10 was Florida State, but with this performance, they may make their way back in before too long.
That's a good win for Clemson down there at Georgia Tech. It's been a little while since they'd gone to Atlanta. Completely controlled that game. Less than 200 yards of offense for Georgia Tech that was undefeated. Made a statement about their overall team athleticism as well.
Andre Francois, long throw to the sideline, miscommunication with Auden Tate. And let's check in with Cassidy Hubbard. Wow, can't imagine anyone saw that coming. Here's Dalvin Cook. He is brought down for a loss of a yard. It'll be 3rd down and long as Bruce Hector made the stop. And those are mistakes. There was a scoop and score as well in the first half of that game for Wisconsin. You don't normally see Michigan State, especially at home, making mistakes like that.
And what a job Paul Chryst is doing up there in Madison, Wisconsin. Knows who he is, knows what he wants to be. Found a little redshirt freshman quarterback that he likes throwing the ball around, and they're rolling here in September.
Blitz on 3rd down and long. One-on-one coverage. Incomplete. Intended for Tate. There was a little bit of contact. No flag comes out. Dietrich Nichols step for step with Tate. Now it's 4th down and 11.
Jimbo is asking his young quarterback again, what are you looking at here? You got to go route. I understand that, but you've got a 15-yard in cut right over the ball on 3rd and 10. Every single play. It is so hard for young players to grasp. Really hard for young players, Bob, in the NFL at your level to understand with 60 or so snaps how critical everyone is in the NFL. You get a few more chances with the volume of plays in college football. A young redshirt freshman quarterback, just his 4th start, understanding the attention to detail in every read.
Caught on the fly at the 10-yard line. Marquez White downs it, and Florida State winning big.
No, I'm just saying if these guys beat Syracuse,
like that. Dalvin Cook over on the sideline, but he made an instant statement in this game to start as we take a look at our game-changing moment brought to you by Benjamin Moore. It was the first snap from scrimmage for Florida State.
South Florida hits their first play of the game. 80-yard touchdown bomb. You come right back. Tremendous blocking in front of him, and then Dalvin Cook makes Devin Abraham miss, and it's to the house. Game changer, and on the final carry that we just looked at, surgically repaired shoulder, something to keep an eye on here. I would hope his day is done. He gets up a little slow with the shoulder.
Darius Tice up the middle. Well, Dalvin Cook couldn't even reach 60 yards against Louisville last week, so I'm sure the temptation is to allow him to continue in today's game and pile up as good a game as he can put together. But once your biggest difference maker on either side of the ball leaves the field shaken up and you're winning in a lopsided game, there's Quentin Flowers. About 2 yards shy of the 1st down. Yeah, Brock, you'd have to think that it would be silly to put him back in the game.
Gloves are off. He should be done. And you see that average, what one game can do, kind of like in baseball when you go 4 for 4 with a couple home runs. That per rush can get back to nearly where it was a season ago.
Quarterback draw, Quentin Flowers. All the way down to the Florida State 35-yard line.
And that'll help the yards per rush as well. A week ago, Lamar Jackson's gone. Not even close. And some of that fear and trepidation I think you felt in the Florida State defense. And well, they take a breath. They miss a tackle. Nate Andrews is diving. He's not playing every single play. And I promise you that will continue to be the conversation on that Florida State sideline. Jimbo Fisher will not relent and wants his guys to focus in and play out.
Play action. Flowers up the seam, and he's got his back. That's Darius Tice. And that is only his 2nd completion since the first play from scrimmage. And Darius Tice is shaken up. put any weight on that right leg.
Yeah, this is awkward as he's having to come all the way back to the ball that is underthrown here, and the weight falls right back on that lower leg and ankle and knee. So often you see guys in those situations drop the ball. There is so much immense pain. They fumble, but certainly can't finish the completion and the reception, and he does.
We saw Marlon Mack leave earlier, and he was with a towel over the face, maybe poked in the eye. So Dearness Johnson is now in at running back. He takes the handoff. Up the middle. That's a South Florida touchdown.
Charles Kelly, defensive coordinator. Come on, guys. 2.5 quarters, tremendous football of eye discipline, of being where you're supposed to be. But A.J. Westbrook, watch him, watch the safety in the back. He's the last line of defense. Tremendous blocking up front. An enormous hole. But A.J. Westbrook runs himself out of the play, and no one there to finish.
Even with the numbers that Quentin Flowers and Rodney Adams and Marlon Mack have put up so far this season, Willie Taggart told us that he thinks Dearness Johnson is their best football player, that he can do a little bit of everything, kind of that Swiss Army knife running back. And his touchdown is the first for the Bulls since early in the first quarter. He for Sutherland stars in one of the fall's most anticipated new series, Designated Survivor, Wednesday night at 10, 9 Central on ABC. Dalvin Cook's got the gloves back on. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, and maybe that touchdown for South Florida tells Jimbo Fisher, I want my best back on the field again. How much of that also, Brock, is the player going over and convincing training staff and coach that I'm okay, I'll shake it off?
Yeah, I don't care. He's should be done. I got Jaquez, I've got Jonathan Vickers, I've got Amir Rasul, I've got nice pieces and components. With 18 minutes left to play, up 24 points, I've got Miami, I've got North Carolina, I got Clemson, and I need that guy at 100%.
Turn from the 6 for Kermit Whitfield. To the 34-yard line, so good field position for the Noles again. And here comes Dalvin Cook. He's coming on the field, looks like. He will be in the offensive huddle. Takes the handoff and drags tacklers for a gain of 8, maybe 9 yards on first down. Well, talking to Jimbo Fisher about Dalvin Cook, and I thought it was such a window into what kind of a player he is. Does he get complacent? Does he in any way feel entitled? He's a Heisman candidate. Back in fall camp or summer camp, he told Jimbo Fisher, treat me like a freshman. Coach the heck out of me. Just the way you do everyone else on this team.
It's awesome.
He takes another handoff. Well, he's tough to bring down. Allison?
Well, I just wonder if putting Dalvin Cook back out there is Jimbo Fisher's way of kind of driving home the message he's been preaching on the sideline all game, and especially here in the second half. I mean, he has not let off these guys one bit, constantly on them, riding them about concentration and playing with focus until the end. And he told us they need to put together a good 4 quarters. They've had 6 good, 6 bad prior to this game, so maybe this is his way of showing his team that everyone, including Cook, needs to play till the end.
Well, I would agree with that completely. I think that's an excellent point, Allison.
There goes Dalvin Cook again, and it's his own man that brings him down.
No, I think that's 100% right. I mean, Jimbo, if asked about it, why is Cook? He's not even going to answer that question. What are you talking about? If you watch the inconsistency of our team and our group, and heck, even to this game to a degree, right? That last series defensively, It's not doing it and paying attention to every single detail. So I know what he's going to say. It's just, you know, sometimes there's other battles to fight over the course of a season.
Well, Dalvin Cook only had 235 yards through the first 3 games. He now has 242 yards rushing today. But before coming out for that last series, when he was at least what looked to us to be injured on the last series, this is Dalvin Cook on the sideline after he was dragged down. This again to end the last offensive series, at least his participation in it for Florida State. This is him over on the sideline. That's an injured player right there, at least temporarily shaken up player.
And that's also, let's remember, that's also the shoulder that was surgically repaired. So that's not a stinger. That's not just a one-time play. That is your thoroughbred. That's your guy if you're going to get yourself back in a playoff push. And their schedule allows it. I will repeat myself. The ACC, with what they've got coming, Miami and North Carolina and Clemson, allows themselves to continue to climb those standings. Number 4 has to be there week in and week out.
And of course, the big game next week between Clemson and Louisville. If Clemson can win that one, then Florida State, depending on what they do between now and October 29th, they would still be playing for a chance to play in the ACC championship game. Dalvin Cook, another first down. It's a gain of 4 more.
One of the other thing that stood out to me in the images of this game, Bob, is obviously it's lopsided with the score. But the number of times you have seen, even Dalvin Cook on Kermit's kickoff return, you saw him coming on the field like, hey, dude, you see the cutback line? You see Rudolph that's barking out. Like, why the usage of timeouts? It's one thing for your head coach to bark, which is great. It's even better when you've got guys on the field challenging and holding one another accountable.
This time tripped up for a loss of 1.5 yards. Cassidy Hubbard, back to you. Can Penn State hold up against Michigan and in the big house give Jim Harbaugh's team a game?
A significant injury to Wortman White, their middle linebacker, out with another knee injury, is a crippling blow to that front 7.
Play action. DeAndre Francois, a screen. Dalvin Cook down the sideline to the 25-yard line for another Florida State first down.
You see his buddy right in front of him, smallest guy on that offense. You see Naquan Murray, 5'10", 175 pounds. He is out in front of this play right there in the slots. Could come right your way. We'll play action pass, and Naquan feels it. Let's go that extra mile. When you've got an elite back behind you, you know on the perimeter as a wide receiver, you can make a game-changing block at any moment.
And that will take us to the end of the third quarter. A statement game continuing for Florida State after the loss last week to Louisville. Welcome back to college football, presented by Walmart. Set for the start of the fourth quarter. And Florida State, since allowing 2 early touchdowns, they've made a statement. Tonight, after Arkansas A&M catch Sports Center at night with Scott Van Pelt, they'll break down a busy day the way SVP can. With all the sports news and highlights, Sports Center with SVP. After college football on ESPN, also streaming live tonight on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN. It's been fun to watch Dalvin Cook, tough football player, shaking off the shoulder injury to run for 244 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Start of the fourth quarter, though, giving way to Jaquez Patrick. Patrick up the middle. Gain of 2.5.
The fascinating conversation this offseason is going to be this running back class. And for years, the NFL draft depleted at the running back position. In fact, it was just a couple years ago, Bishop Sankey was the highest running back drafted in the mid-second round. That will not be the case. And we've seen Gurley go high, and you're going to have Leonard Fournette. You're going to have Dalvin Cook, more than likely Royce Freeman, Nick Chubb going to look at that possibility. Plenty of different choices. Cook may be the most complete of all of them.
DeAndre Francois, long throw to Bobo Wilson. That ball knocked out. They say incomplete. Ronnie Hoggins came up and made the stop.
That is a long throw across the field, and that's Ronnie Hoggins separating receiver from football and doing it in textbook fashion. Don't have to hit high. Don't have to lunge. Go right at that sternum and rib cage and deliver a clean blow. That is football 101 to cause a third down. Don't walk to that sideline. Don't do it.
Another timeout called by Florida State. And the conversation continues between Jimbo Fisher and DeAndre Francois. We return with a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate. It's been good hands as well for Dalvin Cook. Not only have we chronicled what he has done as a runner today, but Brock, he's the leading receiver for Florida State as well.
And such a weapon when you can get that out of the backfield. And this is to my comment about being the most complete back in college football. You've seen the swing passes. That's a gap screen. Here's a little naked out in the flat. 3 down back, hard to find. Ezekiel Elliott was why he was a top 5 pick in the draft. Don't know if Dalvin's going to climb to that level on a draft board. But finish strong. He should very well be a first rounder.
Off to Cook, trying to turn the corner on 3rd down. About 2 yards shy. Adrian Sinat grabbed him around the ankles. So now it's 4th down. And it looks like Florida State will send their field goal group out. Are there any other brothers with the last name of Aguayo? I'm sure that if there are, Jimbo Fisher would love to meet them. True freshman Ricky Aguayo taking the place of his 3-time All-American brother. That is a line drive that gets the job done. 3 more for Florida State. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams here in Tampa. How much of the rest of this game and the way that Jimbo Fisher has coached it is laying the foundation for that schedule that you pointed out earlier that they still have out there in front of them? In spite of the loss last week, what can they still make of their season?
Yeah, I think the good news is Jimbo only knows one way to coach. I mean, he's going to ride these guys really hard. He's going to be very demanding of them. The most encouraging, quite honestly, I said this last quarter, the most encouraging sign is how these players are taking that on. Because that's ultimately what he wants. And when they won a national title, he had a quarterback that owned it. It was his voice on the field. It's one thing for a coach to demand and to scream and to yell. It's quite another for those players to own it and really take responsibility for it. And Jimbo knows that himself. To me, Bob, that's been the story of the 46 minutes or so of play. Dalvin's a superstar. Yes, athletically, they're better. They've been much sharper than they were last week. But he's looking for those, what they call alphas around their program. I need more of these alpha males to step up, and I can't be the sole voice doing all that barking.
And this will be a touchback once again. Cassidy Hubbard with another update. All right, Cassidy, thanks. Can Wilton Speight be the quarterback of a national championship team?
That's a very fair question, and one I will be watching very closely when I get back to the hotel and watch him play. I would not have thought so a week or season ago when we saw him. Primarily a backup role. But all of the conversation is how much he has grown and accepted the responsibility that comes with it today. A wonderful measuring stick.
Keeping it himself is Quentin Flowers. And that's a good run across the 50 into Florida State territory. So the Noles 48, a gain of 27. Quarterback keeper has been the best weapon so far here in the second half for this South Florida offense. 117 yards rushing for Quentin Flowers. There he goes again. This time only a yard, maybe a yard and a half. As DeMarcus Walker stayed home and made the tackle. Stanford and UCLA later on tonight at 8 Eastern here on ABC with a flag down.
False start. Offense, number 77. It's a 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And all eyes pointing to that matchup with your Huskies. but road tests tonight for the two teams that are involved in that game.
Huge, especially for Washington to prove that they belong. And that, to me, is what this day was about for South Florida and Willie Taggart. And Chris Peterson has said all along, we've done nothing yet. Now go get a good road win in conference, be 4-0, get ready for Stanford. You further that conversation. For South Florida today, this has got to be tremendously disappointing. To have this opportunity and to have this stage and to be so physically overwhelmed through the majority of this game.
Dearness Johnson with a good run. Brought down about 3 yards shy of the first down. The arrow, though, is still very much pointing up for this program. Willie Taggart has gone through this before as a player. He helped resurrect the Western Kentucky program under Jack Harbaugh. Here's a third down. Flowers goes down, so it will be fourth down. You think probably 4 down territory. But then as a coach, he was part of Jim Harbaugh's resurrection of the Stanford program when he was there.
Yep.
And was the best man at Jim's wedding. And then went to Western Kentucky as a coach and took a program that was 2-10 in his first year and had lost 20 straight games and resurrected it. Now trying to do that with South Florida. Going forward here on fourth down. Nice pump fake. Quentin Flowers has the first down and more. Gets a block. How about that fourth down conversion for the junior quarterback?
And that's another missed tackle for A.J. Westbrook as well, and he's in there because of Derwin James being out, and that's 2-3 different occasions right now where he is out there in space and he's having a hard time tackling. And Jimbo takes a deep breath because he knows that was a problem a week ago. Their tackling at the second level was just disastrous.
Quick screen to Dearness Johnson.
And when you play this style in this system, you see it with Lamar Jackson in Louisville, and there's a good look at Derwin. 5 to 7 week injury with the meniscus surgery. You see the brace there on the left leg. They're sure hoping it's 5. You can get back on the front end of that because he's a difference maker for them in the back end of their defense. But for South Florida, if you're going to run this style in this system, Quentin has to emerge time and again, and he has got to make game-changing plays. But more of it in the second half, but too little, too late.
Down inside the 5 to the 3-yard line goes Dearness Johnson. Very close to a first down, brought down basically right at the line to gain. Let's see, it looks like they are going to say third down. It's about a half-yard shot. Dearness Johnson again has the first down. At the goal line, has a touchdown. This Bulls team is still playing hard. And that, again, disappointing for Jimbo Fisher, as his defense has now given up a couple of scores on the last 2 USF possessions.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised yesterday, Willie Taggart, when asked to take one ball player. You get one in the middle of the field, Florida State gets one, who you taking? And he didn't point to Mac and didn't point to Quentin and Augie on the defensive side of the ball. He pointed right to Dearness Johnson as being his most complete, toughest player. And probably no surprise to see him at his best here when this game has been largely defined, but there's no quit in number 2.
The second cousin of a teammate of yours, Edgerrin James, scores to make the lead 20.
College football presented by Walmart. Save money, live better. And in part by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Welcome back to Tampa. It is now a 20-point lead for Florida State over South Florida. And Brock Ewart, I'm wondering if you are the Bulls here. We were just talking about this while we were away. Isn't this the time for a surprise onside kick coming off a touchdown?
Yes. And I don't even know if it would be terribly surprising. You can't stop Florida State going up and down the field on you.
That's not a hands team group out there for the Noles, so it doesn't look like they're guarding against it. And instead they kick it deep. Kermit Whitfield has a step. Kermit Whitfield with only the kicker potentially to beat. Now he gets dragged down from behind. Big plays now made on special teams to go along with a huge day from Dalvin Cook. As we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, Dalvin Cook by himself only has about 65 less yards of total offense than South Florida does as a team.
Pretty amazing, pretty remarkable. And he knew it was just, he's got too good a track record. He's kind of like a baseball player. Maybe starts the season a little slow. You know there's going to be a game. There's going to be a streak that if he just gets his chances, he's going to make you pay. And that chance was today.
And he's still out there and still moving the pile. A gain of 5. And the tough part here for South Florida is, had you tried the quote-unquote surprise onside kick and not recovered it, Florida State would have started this drive from the same place as they are now anyway.
Yep.
So you wonder, not going with an onside kick there for Willie Taggart, how many more possessions are you thinking you're going to get in the last 10 minutes of the game? Cook inside the 35. Yard and a half shy of the first down. Third down and 2. Francois with the crease. The quarterback at the 10. Into the end zone. Another Noles touchdown.
Well, they've run that play on 4 different occasions and 4 different times. Francois has had a tremendous lane to run behind. There have been physical mismatches in a lot of places, and Willie's asking his defensive coordinator up in the booth, come on now. That's not once or twice or 3 times. That's a 4th time, including the most critical here, 3rd and 2. If you're South Florida having and wanting any hope that you just don't make an adjustment, you don't get numbers. Bronk Rubel leading the way in a caravan for yet another rushing touchdown.
And all the more reason to onside kick.
Yes.
You can't stop them anyway. So why not, off of some momentum from your touchdown, try and get the football back? Instead, it's Francois adding to the Noles lead. This afternoon on ABC, the Big Ten opener between Penn State and Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines. Number 4 at home at the Big House at 3:30 Eastern. And at 8, it's a Pac-12 showdown. Christian McCaffrey and number 7 Stanford battle UCLA. You can see both of those games streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Francois on the phone with the offensive booth, and I'm wondering how that conversation goes. I hear DeAndre, if you don't run it, we're just going to keep handing it to Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
And then just hang up. I'm not sure what there is to talk about for a team that's got 430 rushing yards. Logan Tyler, the kickoff specialist, has that job for a reason, and we have seen it this afternoon.
You ready for a little chalk talk? You ready for a little football 101? I said 4 different times you have got into this wing set and run this play. And what's happening is South Florida is expecting inside zone. They are selling out and committing. But instead, unfortunately, you're going to see quarterbacks sweep, and you've seen it time and again. And look who's out front. Dalvin Cook, we talk about, is a receiver. We talk about, complete player. He's leading the way. He's out in front, not just running total yards over 300. He's getting the job done in the run game as well. South Florida not making adjustments. Florida State continuing to take advantage, not going away from the well that's been highly successful for them.
Play action for Quentin Flowers. Lofts one down the sideline, and he has Mitchell Wilcox. The tight end got a step. And a well-thrown ball by Quentin Flowers.
AJ's having a tough day. And sometimes the ball just finds you. Like that old baseball. I don't know why I've given you 15 baseball analogies. I apologize. But sometimes ball finds you. And AJ, whether it's in the run game or that time in a one-on-one with a tight end, is unable to finish.
Blitz comes off the edge. A jump ball thrown out of bounds. At the last moment, it seemed that Quentin Flowers recognized that Matthew Thomas was unblocked and was about to hit him from the blind side. This is a South Florida offense that had 4 touchdown drives of 2 minutes or less against Syracuse last week. They have 12 this year coming into today. They have 31 touchdown drives of 2 minutes or less last year. So they can get into the end zone quickly. They obviously have to do that. Flowers on the run again. With a cutback to the 10-yard line. That'll be 1st and goal.
And this is a crew that's going to score a lot of points, and they're going to challenge in their division of the American Conference, went undefeated last year in their division. And I don't have any doubt that they're going to run all over a lot of people. I would like to see just a little bit more dimension to their offense, a little more to their passing game than just home run or check down.
D'Ernest Johnson inside the 5, down to about the 2.5-yard line. Tavius Jackson, the number 5 inside linebacker in America, according to our folks at ESPN Recruiting, was in there to make the tackle, and he's still in the middle of that Noles defense. Right up the middle, they run at him, and leaping into the end zone with another touchdown is D'Ernest Johnson.
Charles Kelly, hand on his head, and I think he knows a little bit that it's a challenge to statistically be at the top of the food chain. Right, that it's going to be hard. You're going to give up some yards. You're going to get big leads in a situation like today, and you're not just coaching necessarily and playing for stats, but this isn't good enough. As good as that first half was, the commitment, the eye discipline, the tackling, this is going to be still very much a work in progress on that side of the ball.
Monday Night Football. Our matchup is an NFC South battle at the Superdome between Matt Ryan and the Falcons and Drew Brees and the Saints. 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 6. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. And to me, Brock, if you're still playing here to try and win the game, you onside kick here. And again, they kick it deep. Whitfield from the end zone. Out to the 24-yard line. So the message to be being sent there from the coaches, we're just playing this game to play as hard as we can for the last 7.5 minutes. But I'm surprised that Willie Taggart wouldn't think it's at least worth on one of these last 2 kickoffs an onside kick attempt, see if you get a recovery.
Yep.
And if you cut this to a 2-score game with, say, 6 or 7 minutes to go, you have no idea what might happen.
It's true.
Dalvin Cook ran for 266 yards last year against South Florida. That was a career high. And he has a very good chance to go right past that today. He's up to 260 yards rushing today.
Florida State is not huddling. But I would sure think you're going to try to utilize as much as you can of this play clock, because your defense isn't stopping South Florida either. This is what you call an extended 4-minute drill, a situation you practice to do your very best to not give that ball back to your opponent.
DeAndre Francois again following the lead block of Dalvin Cook. And it is an FSU first down. Now Dalvin Cook goes to the sideline, and after that first down picked up, you wonder if his afternoon might finally be done.
You know what? We'll answer that question. No, it's not done. No, we're going to play 60 minutes and not like our ball. I think Allison's made the best point of the entire afternoon. 6 good quarters, 6 bad quarters. You know, even a couple incomplete ones here. They're going to play this thing for 60 minutes, and Jimbo wants to get it right. This is a mindset and a mentality as much as it is anything else.
Patrick, and it's hard to argue the logic behind wanting to set that mentality based on what he saw last week and what we saw on film.
That's right.
It's hard to believe this is the same team. Florida State may very well set a new school record for rushing yards as Nigel Harris, the starting Will linebacker, is down for South Florida. Nigel Harris led the nation with 6 forced fumbles a couple of years ago. Last year, 35 less tackles than he did in 2014 and only 1 forced fumble, and had a couple of suspensions for violating team rules. So this very much a year where he's trying to remake his reputation on this USF defense.
But we saw him last night, and you see him and a number of these guys, and they're just undersized. Louisville was a perfect confluence of some difficult events, a scheme, a style, a madhouse. And I think they played up Lamar Jackson a little bit, just too much. Reading between the lines yesterday and talking to that group, made him into William Wallace, and the defense played that way.
Right.
Scared of him. Running all over the place, and a different animal today. An undersized front seven, a group that does not move, that's not stun an awful lot. That gave, I think, DeAndre, that offensive line, a chance to really communicate at the line and just physically overwhelm and take it over.
Here's Jaquez Patrick. He has over 100 yards rushing already today as well, and picks up 3.5 more here. But to Florida State's credit, today's game started basically the same way that last week's game started. USF came out, threw a touchdown pass on the first play from scrimmage, and this was a madhouse. And they responded in a way that they, at no point last week, seemed to really stabilize the game. They stabilized the game today early against these Bulls.
QB sweep.
On 3rd down, there it is. Francois tripped up, maintains his balance, and slides for a 1st down.
And no, I'm not on the headset. But when it's worked 5 times, run it a 6th. This time, just run it to the left. There you see, just utilize the clock, take advantage of it.
Every 1st down is basically worth 2 minutes off the clock if it takes you 3 downs to get it. And so a couple of more 1st downs for Florida State, and that would do it. Nico Sawtell, a redshirt freshman, paid the price, bringing down Jaquez Patrick after a gain of 2.5.
Yeah, this is going to be a beat-up defense. My goodness. Now they've got to go up to Cincinnati out on the road next week. This is not an ideal matchup. Every once in a while you run into those. Or just from a matchup standpoint, whether it's my speed, whether it is my scheme, whether it may be catching a team with an injury or 2 that's advantageous. And this one on this side of the ball was never going to be a good one for South Florida on paper.
Guess who's back in, dotting the I? Dalvin Cook. Lowers his shoulders and grinds out about 2 more yards.
You talk about no onside kicks if you're Willie Taggart as well. You've got all 3 timeouts still. That clock now ticking under 3 minutes. We'll be curious here if Florida State's able to move the chains, if he even utilizes them in the final 3. Because he knows he's a Harbaugh disciple, as we chronicled. And when you get physically beat up and you don't have an answer and you can't line up and stop somebody, it's demoralizing. Which is what he's really trying to do within his program. He did not want to be a spread, just throw it all over the place. He still wants to have a physical element to his crew.
Florida State couldn't get set. So it looks like it is a timeout called again from the sideline by Jimbo Fisher to avoid the delay of game penalty. And you mentioned what's on deck for South Florida. How about for Florida State? They've got those resume building opportunities still through their schedule. And they are a home team in Tallahassee against a North Carolina team that we saw go toe-to-toe with Georgia opening weekend. And you still have 3 ranked opponents on your schedule. And who knows what that Clemson game might mean when they have them at home heading into Halloween weekend.
Well, I think I know this, that I don't think you beat Clemson without Derwin James. And it's hard to say one guy can have that big of an impact on your defense, and he would not compensate for the shortfalls that we saw last week, and some of them we have seen in the second half, but he'd help immensely. He's a guy against these zone read teams and these quarterbacks and playing up in the alley that is just a difference maker. And they are missing that in the back seven.
And doing the math, that's just about when he would be coming back.
And you talk about an injury in the second half of a game already decided against Charleston Southern that you just really kick yourself.
3rd down and 6 after the timeout. Dalvin Cook finds a cutback lane, but it gets shut down quickly. Daniel Owaleke with a flag down.
And it's going to be hands to the face against South Florida more than likely.
Personal foul, hands to the face, and to defense. 15-yard penalty, 1st down. The player foul does not have to leave the game.
That gives Florida State the 1st down. Another update from Cassidy.
Thanks, Bob. Tied up between Syracuse and UConn. Brian Sheriff with the throw. It's deflected and intercepted by Cordell Hudson, who returns it for 6. Cuse takes a 24-17 lead. Bob, Brock, back to you.
So Syracuse with a pick 6 to take the lead at UConn. We'll be seeing the Orange next week when they take on Notre Dame at MetLife Stadium. And off Dalvin Cook. But the game obviously decided now with 2:15 to go. Decided to the point now where South Florida really can't even have an opportunity to get the ball back unless they use their timeouts. But Willie Taggart will now call a timeout before 2nd down. By 1 yard against the same opponent, a new career high for Dalvin Cook. 266 last year in Tallahassee against these Bulls, and 267 today here in Tampa.
He talked in the open, 25 carries, and he's got the frame to do it. And that's the one unique feature about him at 215 pounds, and you can see he is rocked up. He's committed to that conditioning and that weight room and everything else in that Florida State program. You don't just come in as a 5-star guy and stay the same. Most of those guys continue to physically improve with every opportunity they have, all the resources at so many of these Power 5 conferences with nutrition and diet and strength staffs, and he's continued to build on really some God-given skill sets that's unique.
Well, if he stays healthy, he will undoubtedly pass Warrick Dunn for the all-time rushing record in Florida State history. He was almost exactly 1,000 yards behind Warrick Dunn before today, and he's got 267 today. So now he's well within what his per-game average would go past Warrick Dunn. Patrick brought down behind the line. And if Dalvin Cook ever came back for his senior season, I'm just saying, you're shaking your head, I know, but just say for the sake of argument, he came back for his senior season. He would, if he stayed healthy, be the all-time leading rusher in the history of the ACC. Ted Brown of NC State, late 70s, with 4,602 yards. Dalvin Cook right now has gone past 3,200 yards for his career at Florida State. Only 4 games into his junior year.
So is he your guy? If you're an NFL team and you see them all, and you need a running back and you want a difference maker in a class that is going to be abundant and rich with different styles of guys, is he the most intriguing at the next level?
Well, you ran through the list earlier. I would say, and again, I'm the amateur, you're the professional, but I would say with the way that offenses play now in the NFL, his ability to seamlessly be involved in your passing game and catch the ball makes him Matt Forte. You know, you can utilize him in so many different ways that I would think that there would be a team out there if they're with the right combination in the top 10. If he's there, you take him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say this. I'm watching really closely the next 10 games of his career. Can he stay healthy and available? And that availability has been a little bit of a question mark at full health over the last 3 years.
Patrick for a first down. And now, unless South Florida spends their timeouts, Florida State can simply take a knee.
This is going to be a little bit, I think, of what Florida State's going to have to do as well. I think you always learn every week. You'll hear that, especially from these college coaches. As much turnover as there is at this level, as many young people as you play, as Jimbo's deciding to still pick up the tempo a little bit. With their defense and their limitations they're going to have, this commitment to the run game would really benefit them.
Well, it looks like Florida State is trying for an all-time program record in rushing yards. They are up to 473 yards rushing. 479 is their program record.
Heck of a 7-minute drive. This is exactly the situation you wanted to close it out. Don't give your opponent the ball back. They know you're going to run. We know we're going to run. They still can't stop it.
Close to the program record. Where's Patrick?
Got to run the ball. If you go through this schedule, you have got to do this if you're Florida State, because you do have some challenges defensively. They didn't get ironed out today. A better effort for Jimbo, but still very much some ways to go defensively.
Well, it should be the final play of the game, as Florida State is 2 yards shy of their program record, but we talked about this being a test of manhood game, especially for that offensive line, the way that they were shoved around last week. I think they had their manhood tested prior and passed the test.
And Jimbo's right there. Get used to this, kid. Get used to this. We're going to need you, number 4. We're going to need you the rest of the way.
What a day for Dalvin Cook and a statement for Jimbo Fisher's team. Coming up next, it's Penn State and Michigan. For Allison Williams, Brock Ewart, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Tampa. A quick break now.